Good evening, hockey fans, and welcome to the 43rd annual Big Red Freakout here on RPI TV. It's the Engineers taking on the Vermont Catamounts for the fourth time ever in this historic and traditional game here at RPI, and I'm joined by Joe Pisacano. Joe, always a fun game every year. You got the alums here in town, over 40, maybe 50 of them here. They played their alumni game earlier, but excited to get to this moment for these current Engineers to take on Vermont in this 43rd Big Red Freakout.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty big game here tonight, Perry, because RPI hasn't won the Freakout game in 5 years, but this senior class has been checking off things that they haven't done in their career here all season long. They had a road sweep of their North Country foes against St. Lawrence and Clarkson to start it off. They won the Mayor's Cup for the first time since they've been here, and then they have 10 scorers on the current roster that are skating tonight. They have 10 plus points. So it's a team that doesn't have. I mean, Will Riley is a superstar. They do have a superstar, and they've got a superstar in that, in Savory. But they've got a lot of depth. They've got a lot of team depth, and I think that's why they've been so successful. And I think that tonight we may see them break the Freakout streak. So it's a huge game, but you can't overlook the opponent. Yes, UVM has not had a great season up to date, but they have played the ECAC very well relative to what they've done on the season. They're 2-3-1 against ECAC opponents this season.
Yeah, it's what you want, and for RPI. They are looking to beat Vermont for the first time in 5 tries, although it's over a span of a number of years. The Engineers haven't beaten Vermont since 2005, or played them since 2005. So looking to get here at the Houston Fieldhouse, right? They played them last year.
They played them last year. They lost 4-2, and I was at that game. It was a tough game because they went up 2-0, and they were dominating the game, and then they just took some lousy penalties, and they had to fight off a 5-on-3. UVM ended up scoring, and then with 1:04 to go in the second. Then they scored again with less than a second to go in the period, just like we saw last night against Dartmouth. And suddenly it was a whole new game because UVM brought another power play into the next period. They score again, and now all of a sudden RPI is down 3-2 after dominating the game. So I think they're going to remember that game last year. I think they're going to remember that 3-2, that 4-2 loss. They ended up giving up an empty netter, but I think they're going to remember that game, and they're not going to be happy with if they come out with a similar result tonight.
Well, the Engineers won't have to deal with Stefanos Lekas, who was the starting goalie last year. He's been there just about he's a senior now. He's been their starting goalie for basically most of his career, most of the last 3 years at the very least. And RPI won't be dealing with him. It'll be Tyler Harmon in net for Vermont tonight, taking on Owen Savory. So maybe a little bit of a break for RPI. You never know. Harmon played pretty well against Yale, a team that RPI struggled with this year. So we'll see what Harmon is able to do between the pipes for UVM.
Yeah, you really never know. And Lekas was definitely stole the game last year for the Catamounts in that Catamount Cup. There were several chances that RPI had that Lekas was able to just swat aside or just make a diving play. And so I think it is a break for RPI to not have to deal with him in the net tonight, but you never know with Harmon. Harmon, as you mentioned, is a legitimate goaltender in the net.
We're going to go to Al Shibley at center ice. He's the PA announcer for RPI, announcing tonight's ceremonial first puck. We'll hear from him.
We're also proud to support your RPI Engineers. Now joining them at center ice are the captains from Vermont and RPI. Please rise, remove your hats for playing of the national anthem for Canada and the United States of America by the RPI Pep Band.
Big Red Freakout on RPI TV. Careless Garris here with Joe Pisacano bringing you all the action. It's the Engineers coming off a 7-1 victory over Dartmouth yesterday in their most recent ECAC hockey contest, taking on the Vermont Catamounts, who are 3-17-4. They fell to BU last night at home 4-2. Team struggling, but have played some very close games against some stiff competition this year, Joe. So no team that RPI should certainly be taking lightly this evening.
Yes, and as I mentioned again, most of their success this season has come against ECAC opponents, and I'm sure that they know that. Another thing to note, RPI, normally in their white sweaters, are going to be in their red sweaters tonight because, after all, it is the Big Red Freakout, and they got the red buckets on too.
Absolutely. Green and gold is the colors of the University of Vermont. Up in Burlington, they are wearing their white uniforms today with green and gold trim, green pants, green helmets, and they're led by 22nd-year head coach Kevin Sneddon, a 1992 grad of Harvard. Of course, Dave Smith, his third season at the helm for the Engineers, looking for his first freak-out victory. They were oh so close last year against Yale, but they'll try again here tonight against Vermont. Fourth meeting between these two teams in the Big Red Freakout as the puck is shot in deep. Mike Gornall picks it up, thrown out in front for an early chance there. Stick wide by Tristan Ashbrook, freshman from Manistee, Michigan. Now back to the point, Babichuk. He'll find Will Riley, senior captain, throws him towards the net. A scramble in front. It'll be tipped back to the blue line. Riley feeds it across. Off for Lepinen. Now fed in front, a little redirection there from Gornall. His stick got knocked away. It'll trickle back down towards Owen Savory. He'll let it go wide of the net, picked up by Babichuk. And then given away nearly. Will be played out to center.
Yeah, and again, that RPI, that dangerous top line of Ashbrook with Gornall and Lepinen.
As Savory will cover up for a whistle. 51 seconds into the freakout. No score here, Joe. And RPI trying to get off on a good foot like they did yesterday.
Yeah, and I think it starts with that top line. They've been on absolute fire the last month or so. Gornall, Lepinen, and Ashbrook, all great scorers, and we saw right away they came flying down and had a couple dangerous chances on net.
Derek Lodermeyer wins the faceoff. He's the top draw man for UVM at just under 55%. Won it back to the point. Shot came in, went wide. Spinning it up the boards is Alex Esposito, a junior out of West Haven, Connecticut. And now cycling in the near side is Max Kaufman. Spinning it up the wall is Esposito. Thrown against the wall. We got a penalty coming up here on Ferner. As to the bench goes Harmon. Delayed penalty. Shot comes in, goes wide. Extra attacker on the ice is Alvaro. He carries it behind. Finally, it's stolen away by Tour Linden. But Vermont will go on the first power play here tonight.
Yeah, RPI, you don't want to start off the game taking a penalty just less than 2 minutes into the game, but RPI does come in with the 11th best penalty kill in the country at 85.5%. So you will see a strong unit out tonight.
Vermont's power play at the other end of the spectrum. They're 57th in the country, 9 out of 91 at 9.9%. Vlad Gioshvili to take the draw, and he wins it cleanly for the Catamounts. Here is Gioshvili, the Moscow native, trying to center it in front. There was Bucco. And now picked up by Jacques Bucco. Back to the point, near side Gioshvili, center blue line. Slap shot coming, saved by Savory. Popped off the pad into the corner. And they rung around and towards the line and out to center. That point was vacated there, and UVM out to start over at center ice. Matt O'Donnell, senior from Fountain Valley, California, shoots it in. Will Riley there for RPI, trying to jam it out. Second try, Dubinsky kept in at the blue line by Gioshvili. Broken up by Johnson, and Jake Johnson, the sophomore from Bloomington, Minnesota, will clear.
So again, you can see that RPI penalty kill unit doing a nice job of keeping the Catamounts out from in front of the net, preventing any pucks from getting deflected in on Savory.
Andrew Lucas on the move, tied for the team lead in points from the blue line. As Babichuk tried to skate it out of the zone, couldn't do so. Shot off the crossbar from neutral ice. As that one caught him off guard. I think it was Evers. who took the shot. And it hit the underside of the crossbar and out. We had a pretty good look at it here, Joe. Looked like, didn't look like it went in, but they may end up looking at this at the next stoppage. Tipped into the zone. Simon Kjellberg over to get it. New York Rangers draft choice and freshman as Lucas plays it across. Shot comes in, saved by Savory with the glove. He had a man in front. Not very big. That was Beretta, I think, trying to provide a screen, or Alvaro. But Savory saw that one and held it.
Yeah, 17 seconds left here on the penalty kill for RPI. And the Catamounts, they've gotten a couple chances, but nothing too crazy to set up. RPI is doing a good job of staying in their formation and closing on those passing lanes, not letting the Catamounts just run around willy-nilly.
Another face-off win for UVM. They've done a good job of that early on. Here's a wrist shot. Blocker saved by Savory to the corner. They've needed Owen Savory early in this game, and he's gotten the job done as the penalty is about to expire, but Catamounts still on the attack around the net. Bryce Misley, the lone NHL draft pick on this Vermont team, or my Minnesota Wild. Misley will shoot it up the wall, gets it back, takes a shot, easy glove stop. After the penalty had expired, back to 5 aside here, Joe, with 16:21 to go in the scoreless first period.
Yeah, and a great play there by Captain Will Riley. He lost his stick on the defense, but instead of kind of going over to pick it up, getting himself out of position, he went right to the front of the net and just kept knocking guys out from the front of the net, not letting Savory get interfered with. And then when the chance came over, took the stick. So good responsibility from the senior captain.
Face off again, won by Vermont. Pulling up in the corner, Esposito back to the point. Wrist shot deflects over the top of the net. Turning and firing one from no angle there was Lodermeyer. And the Engineers are going to clear it out, but maybe some first period jitters here from this RPI group. Certainly not the strong start we saw last night against Dartmouth. But they still have time, obviously, to turn things around here. Plenty of game left.
I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Catamounts were just on a power play. RPI, they came out on that initial faceoff and they went right in with the Ashbrook, Leppinen, Gorno line. And so I think, but then they took a penalty immediately after. So I think that's really what we just saw there.
Driving the net here and stashed wide by Kaufman, junior from Rochester. That puck went on a play. Well, another faceoff coming up in the RPI zone. Faceoffs are 4-1 in favor of Vermont early. Shots are 6-1 Catamounts.
Yeah, again, taking advantage of that early power play, and I think they've brought some momentum in. The power play's been over for them for their 30 seconds now, but the Catamounts still pressing, and obviously an icing taken by RPI. So again, I think they have to breathe and relax and get back to what they do best.
It appears that Vermont wants Lodermeyer out there for just about every offensive zone draw they can get him in for a good reason. I mentioned his strong face-off percentage, although the Engineers win this one. Kept in on the near side by the backhand of Evers. And now played ahead. Klee out of the reach of Ashbrook. Evers in the corner takes the hit. Working it out. Here's Leppinen, picked up his second goal of the year last night against Dartmouth. There's a shot off the skate, taken by Klee, wrapped off the glass and back to neutral ice. Klee scoops it up the wall. Vermont in the middle of a change. Engineers will fling it to an open wing. Johnson for Klee. Leppinen, good connection into the zone. Hands it off to Gornell. Gornell spinning. Tried to feed it up the boards. It's turned over. Bouquet near side Lucas. Lucas looking for a lane, takes a shot. And again, Savory, they've had 7 shots on goal, but a lot of them from distance like that.
Yeah, and those are the ones that Savory can see, and that's why you have to make sure you don't have a player go to the front of the net that can deflect the puck from distance, because those are the ones that are difficult for a netminder. But when he can see the puck go from the stick to right into his glove or into his padding, he's going to make the save every time.
Make it 8 early stops for Owen Savory, not quite 5 minutes into this game.
And he saw a lot of rubber last night, too.
Absolutely. There's a good face-off win for Billy Jerry and the Engineers. Will Riley lost the handle right across the line. Babichuk comes to help out. And the freshman from Edmonton will try to use the net as a screen. Gives it back to Riley. And now played ahead by Danny DeGrande. He and Jerry combined for a very pretty goal last night. But here they have to play some defense. Gioshvili to the net front. It was actually pushed around the net by Ace Cowens. Now Gioshvili in the corner, down low for Cowens. This team obviously a struggling Vermont club, but some talented players, including the aforementioned Cowens. He has 6 goals on the year.
He has 7-point streak, 7-game point streak as well at one point this season.
Flipped in deep by RPI. There's a touch for Harmon, the junior from Ramsey, New Jersey, making just his 6th career appearance. This will be shot in. They wave off the icing. Beretta over to pick it up for Vermont. Beretta all the way to the blue line, sends it across. Wrist shot coming, hit the boot of a teammate as that one caught Misley. Misley now tangles with DeGrande, or make that Tour Linden. Behind the goal, Dallas Como trying to make a move through Polino. Polino goes down. Penalty coming up here. It might have been Hallbauer rather. Delayed penalty on Vermont as the Engineers skated to center. Todd Burgess, senior out of Phoenix, Arizona, skates into the attacking zone. He told me he had a lot of family coming this weekend. As we got a whistle here. And RPI will go on its first power play. 13:25 to go in the first period.
Yeah, and I think this could be a real turning point for RPI. They've been hemmed in their own zone for the first 7 minutes of the game here, and I think they're playing the UVM game at this point. It's not the up-tempo RPI breakout offense that we're used to seeing. So I think this power play, they've scored goals in the last 3 games. This power play, they went cold earlier, but now they're on a bit of a streak right now. And you want to see that momentum, especially in an atmosphere like this with the Freakout. A pretty nice crowd here, and I think that if RPI can get a couple chances going on this power play, there's a very good chance that this barn starts to get rowdy and starts to get into the game more. I think it's just been a bit of a lull right now, and that's why it's not as loud as we're used to feeling at the Freakout.
Awesome, and we're going to be joined now by Mike Satapor, who's the captain of the 1985 RPI National Championship team. Mike, as Joe will step aside here. Mike, throw that headset on. We'll get you right in on the broadcast here. First of all, welcome to the broadcast in the 43rd Big Red Freakout. I know you're familiar with these games, but maybe a different side of things here.
Pretty good view from up there.
It's not too bad as the Engineers are on the attack here. Chase Zeke will work it back to the point for Will Riley. Engineers power play, looking to tally. Here's a shot from Polino, is turned away by Harmon. And now behind the net, Dubinsky. Back to Polino. Polino at the half wall. Leads the team with 8 goals this year, including 1 last night. Babichuk, Riley, one-timer coming, a block, sat in the slot for a moment. Engineers able to get back on it. 35 seconds gone in the power play. Polino looking to set things up again. Babichuk across to Riley where he likes to shoot from. Sent back across, Polino a shot. And he didn't quite get what he wanted on it. Down low for Zeke. What do you think of this power play, Mike?
They're really moving the puck well. I love what they're trying to do. I mean, Vermont's sagging the box here, so they got to figure a way to stretch out the box, and then they'll get something.
Polino thought about a slapper, pulls it back out. Engineers being patient here. Sent across all the way to Riley. Pass handcuffed him a bit. Does a nice job to regather. Polino, top of the circle, takes a drive, and that one was blocked. Seems like Vermont is content to sit back here. Let those shots come from the points. Here's Polino again. Rips one, and that one goes wide off the glass. Chopped out and back to center. Mike, 85 grad, you went to the Hall of Fame at RPI Athletics in 1995. What did that mean to you?
Well, just, being part of the school first and foremost, and being part of that group, that was really humbling.
As the Engineers look to move it out to center. Ahead for Ashbrook, 6 to go in the power play. As Gordon's going to drive the net here. Net came off its pegs for a moment, hot back down. Out of the box is Beretta, back to even, so both teams 0 for 1 on the power play. Obviously these sweaters, a shot comes in there. Save made on the try by Ashbrook. Vermont going to try and clear, and this will be icing on UVM. Finally a chance to breathe here. 11:07 to go first period. Mike Satapor, and I know you've taken on some public speaking roles. You have a company Edge think you're working with now. What made you want to get into that aspect of life?
When I came back from grad school, Spent 3 years here coaching under Buddy Powers. I got my master's in psych, and that was the movement of positive psychology and kind of the emotional navigation of what you're going to do every day, and it became something that was in me. So I've been doing that since 2003, and speaking and doing workshops on kind of is your mind working for you or working against you, and the science behind it.
That's awesome. You know, you were a coach for RPI for a couple of years in the early 90s. How did that go?
Loved it. That's why I'm back here for the 95 team.
Okay.
Right.
Magic
and Little and those kids. Those are a bunch of the kids that Danny Frigid and I recruited for Buddy.
And you obviously on the captain of the 85 team. What did the Miracle on Ice do for your hockey career and for what you saw for your ability, especially a kid coming out of Massachusetts?
Well, it was huge. It's funny. I was just on the phone with Mike Ruzioni Friday. We're actually hiring Mike for an offsite.
Oh, wow, okay.
And, you know, for any kid from Massachusetts with the 4 guys from BU, that was crazy. And also coming up here and then being part of that team with some of the players we had. I mean, that's once in a lifetime. So that was really special.
I mean, you had some foresight because RPI hadn't been at its peak since the 50s, right? You guys were the next group to kind of take them to the next level.
Yeah, Mike Odessa was a pretty persuasive guy.
Okay.
And he came into my living room and told my mom I was going to go to class and graduate. And she said, "You're going to RPI with Coach Odessa." So that's how that worked.
That's fantastic. You're from Lexington, Mass. What's the hockey scene like there? What did you grow up with?
You know, when I was a kid in high school, everybody played public school. So in our league, we had, you know, half a dozen to 8 or 9 guys a year getting full rides to Division I. And that was kind of the norm. But it's really changed now where kids are going to prep school and Catholic school. So the public schools really don't have that pipeline anymore of players. So it's really more of the kids that are going to prep and private schools that are working their way to the USHL and then up into the college ranks.
There's a chance there for Vermont and a save by Savory. I know you follow this team, you know, very closely from afar. I see your tweets are all very positive for Coach Smith and the like. Why do you think that's important and to continue to be positive? That's one of his biggest MOs is being positive and having energy.
You got to build. I mean, each one of these kids, this is their 4 years, and you know, this is for me and for the guys that come back. This place changes your life, and so if you're an RPI engineer and you get the privilege of being part of the program, you want it to be great. And you want it to be great, you know, obviously as an alum, but you want it to be great for the kids that are here in the student body. So for Coach Smith, Coach Eppard, and Coach Frigid, we want them all to be successful. And, you know, they're working hard. They were fantastic last night. And, you know, this is a great group of kids. You can just see the way they're playing. They get an unbelievable compete level. I love watching them play.
From your class, from the 85 class, those seniors that were really so instrumental in that championship run, 35-2-1. That's, you know, we're probably never going to see it again, honestly. What was the biggest driving factor for you guys back then, do you think?
In '82 was the first time we got pretty good. We made it to the ECAC playoffs. Yep. And then, you know, we had the next class come in of Juris and that crew with Oates and Cervinas and Carter. For the last 2 years, 84 and 85, we won a lot of hockey games, and between Mike's work ethic on us, and we had a lot of really fantastic players and 2 great goaltenders. You know, that helps.
It helps a lot, I'm sure. And the Engineers feel like they have a pretty good one here in Owen Savory as we're going to have a hand pass setting the face-off down to Vermont territory. No score here, 9:15 to go in the Big Red Freakout. What were your Big Red Freakout experiences like? I know you obviously won the one in 85.
Yeah, but crazy. All 4 years, the place was sold out. It was cowbells, and it was one of those nights where it was a buzz. And boy, if we scored early, it was a train wreck for the team visiting. It was fantastic. It was so much fun.
Did you ever go attend a Freakout when you were maybe committed before you played in one, or was the first one you ever saw the one you played in? The first one
I ever saw was the one I played in.
Awesome. And you guys, I think you put up 8 or 10 or something crazy in the 85 when you went on that crazy run you were on.
Yeah, I think it was St. Lawrence.
Yeah.
It's funny, the captain of my high school team was on that St. Lawrence team. He was 2 years ahead of me. He was not happy. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, 84, it was 10-2.
Yeah.
How about some of these giveaways? They've changed throughout the years. There was a bell, applause job. Obviously, the rule that they made, the RPI rule, you can't give away noisemakers because of how loud the fans were here.
Yeah, the bells, the cowbells was absolute insanity in here. We couldn't hear the whistle. The coaches couldn't coach. It was really something.
I can't imagine 5,000 people with a cowbell.
Yeah.
Incredible. As speaking with Mike Satapor, captain of the 1985 National Championship team, back here for Alumni Weekend. They'll be honoring you guys. Obviously, it's an anniversary of sorts for you guys as well, but the 95 team is being honored specifically this season between the first and second periods. You'll all be out there on the ice on the red carpet, but it's great to see so many guys back. I was at the alumni game earlier. It's as big as it's been in a few years, and it was a great competition between those two teams out there.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful group of guys, and I think they had 30-plus guys back, which is fantastic, and hopefully we can keep building on that.
Engineers looking to break through here against Vermont. Still 8.5 to go in the first period. They had a great first period last night against Dartmouth. The Big Green tied it up with less than a second left in the first period. RPI would not be deterred as they went on to score 3 goals in a minute and a half. Do you remember any goals? I was trying to find it. Any goals being scored quicker than 11 seconds apart here?
No. We were actually talking about that. Was unbelievable last night what they did. I was sitting with a couple of the guys. I couldn't believe how explosive we looked. I thought we looked so fast, so aggressive, and it's great to see because you can tell they're on the verge of something here. They're getting better.
Another power play coming up as a trip or a slash is going to be the call. Engineers going on their second power play of the game with 8:20 to go in the period. And yeah, the fastest I've found over the last 20 years was 19 seconds apart. I think it was in 02 or 03, around that era. So I'll keep digging. I'm gonna try to find one. If I can't find one faster, I'll eventually declare it the fastest. But there's a lot of records to dig through, as everyone might imagine here. RPI's power play that picked up a power play goal in each of the last 3 games. Mike, what have you seen from the power play from what you've been able to see tonight and last night?
You know what? There's a lot of poise with the puck and allowing for a little bit of space, and that means they're maturing. You know, sometimes guys get on the power play and they take the first option or the second option, and you can tell they're deliberate and they're trying to do something. And the guys up top of that umbrella make some really nice reads. It's a nice look.
As Vermont looking to rag the puck a little bit. DeRoche has it in his own zone. Oh, they called 1 on each, so I must have missed that. We're playing 4-on-4 here. They got embellishment on Polino. I missed that part of it. Looked like he got his leg dragged up in the air, but anyway, it's not my call. O'Connell hands it off there for Esposito. As they look to cycle, O'Connell again, trying to center. Good look in front, pushed just wide by Gioshvili. And RPI trying to break. They have a man at center if they could find Burgess, but no. It was bottled up. He would have been off to the races. Now a 3-on-2 for RPI. Linden across, settled by Johnson. On further for Burgess. So we're halfway through this 4-on-4. And Gioshvili going to skate it to as far as Tour Linden. He had a pretty good night last night. Linden opened the scoring with that nifty play behind the goal. As Riley's going to make his way in. Looked like he just lost his balance there and went down. Now Vermont trying to catch RPI up ice here on a change up the wall. Alvaro wrapped up. Trying to dig it out of the skates is Bucco. And Jake Morello out of Slingerlands. Do you have any local kids back when you played on the team?
We did not have any locals. It was primarily Boston and Toronto guys.
Okay, that's a good way. That's a good place to look, though.
Now, and Darren Pupa was from the North Pole, so that was one guy that was not from the two areas.
Bucco across. Shot comes Savory. Made the stop. He'll cover up. And Mike, I want to thank you so much for coming up here this evening and stopping by here. Thanks for the chat.
Keep it up. It's great.
Mike Satapor, 1985 captain of the national championship game, the most recent national championship for RPI, 85 and 1954. As I'm once again joined by my partner, Joe Pisacano. Joe, how's it going over there?
It's
what
just
have you seen from these engineers?
Well, it's a lot of something I noticed last night. We had no penalties in the first period, and tonight we've got 4, and we still got 6 minutes left. So just kind of a tale of 2 different games.
Interestingly, the same referees for tonight's game, different linesmen but different referees. Brian Oliver and Matt Wild, the linesmen tonight, but it's once again Brad LeBlanc and Chip McDonald blowing the whistles here for the infractions. Back to even are both sides here. Here is Simon Shelbert, 4 goals and 6 assists on the year. Takes a shot, it's blocked. Good strong play on the puck by Kaufman to move to center. Hand off to Misley. Misley will wrist one way wide. Ashbrook ahead, trying to find Lepinen and does. Lepinen pulls up, waiting for help. He eventually will flip it in deep. Here's Carter Long, the Yorktown, Virginia native, ahead. Dumped in by Como, but it's on goal. Now, Savory didn't like how close he got, and he will get a whistle here.
Yeah, so again, I think RPI's Savory, it must have been something that he said to his defenders before the game about just clearing out the front of the net, and I think that's Dartmouth last night was getting a ton of chances by having guys in front of the net, and tonight RPI's done they've been intentional about clearing the front of the net, and I think that's probably why Savory wasn't too happy about that guy coming up close.
Shots are 11-4 Vermont. Not all that indicative of the play. As we mentioned earlier, a lot of them have been from distance. Not a lot of true grade A scoring chances so far. Here is Polino driving in. He'll pull up there. Mason Klee looking for his first collegiate goal. Takes a shot, deflected, never got to Harmon. Klee again over to Johnson, looking for his first of the year. Now Polino wires one high off the glass. O'Connell chipping to center, rolling puck in a 2-on-1. It'll be a shot and a save there. Rebound. Savory has it pinned up. William LeMay, the freshman from Maryville, Ontario, and we might have something come out of this as they were digging away at Savory. Want to point out the puck hopped away for a second from Savory. There wasn't, I guess, nothing going on there. It wasn't a clean cover, but at the same time, you can't keep whacking away at a goalie like that.
The LeMay there was just whacking, and I think RPI did a good job of defending their netminder, but it doesn't look like we're going to get any disciplinary actions from the resulting post whistle.
Yeah, you're right. Nothing going on here. One power play each way. There was the matching minors that occurred halfway through the frame. There's another face-off win for UVM. They have dominated the dot in this game thus far. Esposito swept away, but now Lodermeyer takes a tight angle shot, trying to sneak it past Savory. Riley doing battle with Kaufman. More offensive zone time for Vermont because of those draws. Now a good tie up here, turning in, shooting one. Trickles to the wall. Morello, he can't get there. Lodermeyer behind for Esposito. This line has been doing most of the puck control for Vermont tonight. And now Lucas, the defenseman, in deep. Babachuk can try and clear it out. Maybe a chance to break for Morello. He'll try and latch onto it here. Morello, tight angle shot, and a mask save made by Harmon. If Morello could have caught up to that thing a little bit quicker, he might have had a chance for a bit of a better angle, but as it was, he has a good shot. Why not shoot it from there? Now DeGrande on his backhand trying to center. An Engineer ended up in the net, but not the puck. That was Jerry. They're going to get a penalty here for hooking, as they'll say Jerry was helped into the net by one of the Catamounts. 3:53 to go in this period. No score.
And that's what happens when you take those chances. I think it was cool that Babachuk lifted up the boards, knowing that Morello had the foot speed to come in and beat out the icing. He knew he wasn't just icing the puck. You could tell it wasn't a desperation clear. It was a tactical maneuver that he made, and he trusted Morello to beat out the icing and catch up to the puck for that chance. And then another play there as Jerry went flying in on the net, where RPI they were just connecting with each other, and as a result, RPI is going to get another power play from it.
Absolutely. So I thought RPI had a penalty last time up. They did get the embellishment on Polino. So now they are getting a power play. RPI is their second of the game. 0 for 1 so far. As Joe mentioned earlier, 15.5% coming in. That's good for 8th in ECAC hockey, 44th in the country. Their penalty kill ahead of the power play this year, Joe, so far.
Yes, another thing just about the game tonight, this first period has been much slower moving than last night. There's been a lot more faceoffs. You mentioned Vermont dominating the dot, and I think that's led to it's just the slower game has led in favor of them, whereas RPI is better in a quicker.
Well, RPI has caught up in the faceoff circle. I want to point that out too. It's now 9-9. It was 6-1 early, but RPI's made up that ground. Here's Chelbert. Ashbrook fires one, and that one just high and wide. It'll leave the zone past Hallbauer, who picked up his 3rd assist of the year. A very talented defenseman is Hallbauer. 3 assists on the year. They'd love to get him going. Add to this scoring output the Engineers have on the blue line with Riley, Babachuk, and company. Now Hallbauer, a wrist shot, looking for a redirect from Gornel, but that puck was about shoulder high, maybe a little lower than that.
Yeah, Hallbauer had 11 points last year, and this year just 3, so you know he's got the potential.
Here's Gornel, drops it off to Lepinen. Otto Ville Lepinen out of Espoo, Finland. Trying to center there was Gornel. Jam try, and that puck did not sit for Ashbrook. RPI maintains possession. Schellberg. Watched there by Lodermeyer. Fed down low, tried a quick snap past Lepinen, but he looked like he tried to pass it before he had it. Back to the point, a slap shot. Sitting in front, Lepinen trying to jam it in. Harmon makes the save, and he covers for a whistle.
And 2 heads-up plays there from Mike Gornel and Tristan Ashbrook. Ashbrook could have easily swatted at the puck when it was in the air, but he gloved it down and then made a play on that, just making sure that he's not going to get called for a high stick, especially that close to the goalie. And then Gornel there making the extra pass and almost sneaking it by and getting the first goal of the game.
Now Harmon hasn't played since January 7th against Yale. He lost 3-2 in overtime, made 26 saves. That's his only game of the year. As I mentioned, his 6th career game. He's a junior.
He's looked pretty good tonight.
Absolutely. Here's Zeke. Still 45 to go on the power play. Riley. Polino. Down low for Dubinsky. He scored a big power play goal against Union in the Mayor's Cup. The only RPI goal of the game in his 2nd of the year. Now Polino. Riley. Babachuk, he likes to shoot from here, wristed that one high. Lucas trying to clear, couldn't do it. This will wrap around to Riley. He's got some time and space. He'll ring one in there. And that one was held onto by Harmon, and we get some more extracurriculars here. Still 14 to go on the power play. These teams will need to be separated.
Yeah, it's a lot of extra pushing and shoving between these 2 teams. Christian Evers there giving one more shove on Zeke there for, I'm not really sure why, because he was all tied up by Lodermeyer. He wasn't going to push back. But so he's going to get, the RPI's going to have a 5-on-3 for 14. Oh no.
They're both going off.
And Zeke's very upset about that because he was, Lodermeyer had him tied up. He does not feel like he was really pushing or shoving or doing much. But so matching minors.
It's going to even those up, yeah. Zeke's off for RPI and Evers for Vermont.
Yeah, he was dueling there with Evers, and he's heated in the box right now because he was they tell you don't ever retaliate, don't push back, and that's exactly what he did. He sat there with his arms down, and he got a glove to the bird cage, and the ref called both on him. So look forward to the next shift that Zeke gets after sitting for 2 minutes. I'm sure it's going to be a pretty motivated one.
Face-off win here for Vermont, but Babachuk gets there. 5 seconds to go in the power play. Morello. And now Burgess trying to center it. Morello a chance, no. Comes free to Riley, back to even. Shot there, blocked by Long, who was facing the wrong way. Back to 5-on-5 now. Chipped off the glass by Como. And RPI will regather. Kind of an odd first period here, but we remain scoreless. Will Riley going to try and skate it in? Hands it off to Morello, takes a shot. Big rebound off the pad. And Morello still trying to find it. Finally, Como taps it away. Misley to center. And now Beretta. He'll take a wrist shot and a save. Rebound cleared out by Burgess. Nice job back checking there by the senior. Covering for the defenseman, and now spinning with it is Petrillo. Now he gets it back. DeRoche. And now Gioshvili. Vlad Gioshvili tried to walk into the zone, but it got poked away right at the line. Shot back in by UVM. Turning and fanning there was Cowens. Now Jerry, glove down by Cowens. 30 seconds to go in the period. Making a move there, sending it over, a blocker save on Gioshvili. No, another centering pass put just wide by Cowens. A glorious chance there for Vermont. He just missed the net. Now it's tipped to center by Billy Jerry. Engineers needing to shore up their final few seconds of first periods here. That's a couple of chances here, and it was Dartmouth scoring their only goal last night with a second left in the frame. This will be clocked out by Ferner, and that'll do it for the first period. But Vermont slapped 17 shots up on the board to RPI's 10 in the opening 20, despite the fact that RPI had a 2 power play to 1 advantage. 5 of RPI's 10 shots, Joe, did come on the power play. Yeah,
and Shellberg and Ferner both went right over to Savory at the end of the period. And I think they might have been saying thank you because he kept them in that game. Vermont, again, not having a great season at the moment, but they are a legitimate team. They've had some close games, and their best games have come against ECAC opponents. And I think I think RPI might have been a bit of a wake-up tonight. I think after a 7-1 drubbing of Dartmouth last night, who was one of the top teams in the league, they may have thought they were going to be able to walk right in here tonight, but obviously not the case. UVM, always a tough team to play against, and they beat RPI last year, and so I'm sure they looked at this as a game that they could possibly come away with another victory.
Absolutely, Joe. It wasn't going to come easy. We're going to take a break here from the Houston Fieldhouse. Be back with more. You're watching the 43rd annual Big Red Freakout on RPI TV.
We are positioning Rensselaer as the new Polytechnic, an institution that brings people together to solve big challenges, what I call the hard problems. It's wired into our DNA. It's how the university was started.
How do we take data and make it into sound rather than into vision?
Through this remarkable combination of technology.
The greatest innovations come in technology when there's also this fluid thinking that's often associated with arts.
I think that gives us a step up in really making significant transformative changes.
Science, engineering, the arts, humanities, it's that whole spectrum of education.
There's a really big fusion going on between arts and science.
You've got a critical mass of people who are genuinely interested in problem solving and genuinely curious.
As an institution, we want to make a global impact. We ask the question every day, why not change the world?
We do research not because it's easy to do, not because we're focusing on simple problems.
We don't want to shirk from large problems because they're large. In fact, we would rather go toward them
on the premise of applying science for the common purposes of life.
That means creating solutions around the world.
It takes all the Rensselaer resources, including the support system, the education system, the research infrastructure, to prepare a complete whole student for the future.
We're going to position our students to understand the world, to know what kind of technologies the world needs.
The focus isn't just becoming a great scientist or a great researcher, but it's showing our students how to function adequately as a human being in the rest of the world.
By shaping ourselves as the new Polytechnic, by bringing people together across the disciplines, by using advanced technologies in unique ways to address really challenging but interesting issues, and to position Rensselaer for its 3rd century as the new Polytechnic.
All right, so here I am. Welcome everyone back to the Houston Fieldhouse on the campus of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in Troy, New York. Your score after one period is RPI 0, Vermont 0. You're watching live coverage of the 43rd annual Big Red Freakout here on RPI TV, and I'm joined here at this intermission by Dr. Lee McElroy, Vice President and Director of Athletics here at RPI. And Dr. McElroy, what did you see from that first period? What did you like?
I would like to have seen a couple of goals. But what I did like is that we picked our energy up in the second half after a couple of penalties. So I think we're going to be okay going forward.
All right, so now just to talk about your job, what's been your favorite part about being Vice President and Director of Athletics here?
Well, you know, we have 23 programs and 600 student athletes. And the most important part of my job is to see that the athletes achieve their goals academically, athletically, and lifelong success. And that involves working 7 days a week, making sure that I have access to our coaches, our student athletes, and it's been 5 years, a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm actually a student athlete here as well on campus, and we appreciate all the work you do. What you do allows us to accomplish goals. I run cross country. We finished in the top 10 at nationals this year,
right.
And just talk about what the goals are of the programs going forward.
Well, first of all, to your point, in the fall of 2009 and 19, we had 5 nationally ranked teams. You mentioned men and women's cross country, men's soccer, golf, and men's tennis. So that's 5 teams out of 9 that were competing in the fall. So that's a great way to start. We did well in the classroom, which is very important at RPI.
Especially this team, the hockey team did very well. They were the top.
Yeah, they're the top male group, and women's cross country was the top female group. So we're doing all the things we need to do in order to have a nationally ranked program with really, really top-notch student athletes.
Yeah, and I got to talk to some of the assistant coaches on the hockey team, and they are very committed to their student studies. They make sure that they're sitting in the front 3 rows. They're making sure that they don't have their phones out and that they're paying attention in class. And I think that's awesome. If as a school like RPI, a Polytechnic Institute, that's about academics and it's also about strong athletics. But you're no stranger to strong athletics. You actually, you worked at UAlbany,
right.
And you were directly involved in the hiring of head lacrosse coach Scott Marr,
right.
who brought tons of success, continues to bring tons of success to that program.
Yeah.
Do you see, when you were interviewing Coach Dave Smith, did you see any similarities between those two? Because they're both builders of programs that weren't always at the top.
Right. That's a very good point. And one of the things that I like to attempt to project is how well a coach would develop student athletes. All of you athletes are talented. You come in talented. The really good coaches develop student athletes, not just on the field, but as people. And I think that Coach Deckles will do that. Obviously, Scott Marr has done it, continues to do it. And after you've got to work with them and the athletes get to work with them, we know we made the right decision.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time here, Dr. McElroy. Any comments, any predictions on what you see for the rest of the Freakout?
I'm seeing more energy, and the engineers are going to prevail.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Of course.
Okay.
Agro Companies, Killer Motors, and Direct Energy, all proud sponsors of RPI.
Welcome back inside the Houston Fieldhouse. Chip Perry-Lascaris, Joe Pisacano at the 43rd annual Big Red Freakout, and no score after one. Joe, Vermont, big edge in shots. We talked about it. The chance has been pretty even. The power plays, RPI's had 2, Vermont's had 1. What were your thoughts in the first period?
I mean, I think you said it. There were no goals, but lots of scoring chances, and especially from those power plays. And again, interesting. Last night, we have the same referees, but last night there were no penalties in the first period. Tonight we had several, and to end out the period, we saw a couple magic minors. So a lot. I think that's what's really been the story of that first period. Just no team able to find a rhythm because they're either killing a penalty or they're getting set up on the power play. And then there's been another stoppage. And so I think that's going to be, once we get some more just consistent 5-on-5 time, we're going to see what these two teams are really about. I think it's going to be more of a hockey game than a special teams battle.
Owen Savory made all 17 of those stops, so big night for him so far. He was huge last night. We talked about his January last night. In the month of January, Owen Savory went 4-1, an 0.59 goals against, and a 980 save percentage. That's as good as it gets. You can't get much better from a goalie than that.
Yeah, I mean, beyond just straight up shutting out every game, those are very good stats. And I think it looks like he's going to carry that momentum from January into February here. As you mentioned, he stopped all 17. A lot of them were some pretty good chances. A lot of those stops were on. A lot of them were on distance, but he still had to make those stops, and the one that sticks out to me is the one that was on the power play. RPI cleared it to neutral ice, and then Vermont flung it back in, kind of unexpectedly, but he still had to get his hand up and knock it out of the way. And I think those are the goals that you don't want to give up. You don't want to give up those soft, kind of fluky, where they come from goals. And he's done a really good job of keeping them out, and also the tough scoring chances. But what's he given up? One goal in each of his last however many games.
Single goals in 3 of 5.
In 3 straight games, 3 of 5, and the other 2 were shutouts.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you, that's got to give you confidence as a skater.
3 in a row with 1. You're right.
Yeah, 3 in a row with just 1 goal given up, and that's got to give you confidence as a skater. If you think, okay, our netminder is only going to give up 1 or no goals, well, we got to put 2 in, and every single one of us can score in this lineup, and there's not a guy in this lineup that can't score. And the play that stuck out to me actually was Mason Klee, the son of Ken Klee, as we mentioned, as he's really stepped up his aggressiveness. I've seen him take way more shots than he normally does, and I think that's confidence building as he's a freshman, and he's been splitting time with a couple other guys, but I think that he's starting to get more and more confidence as a skater and as a shooter, and I would not be surprised if we saw him score tonight or in any of the next games in the future.
All right, just about set for the start of the second period. I want to welcome all those watching wherever you are in the world or all over the country. I know there's watch parties in Baltimore, in California, Seattle. A lot of folks want to watch the RPI hockey, Joe. I think RPI TV does a great job. Not just on Freakout night, but every home game.
I agree as well. They do a phenomenal job. They do a professional job.
Second period is underway. We're 5 skaters aside in a scoreless game. Engineers looking to jump on Vermont like they did against Dartmouth last night. Although I don't know if we're going to see that again this year. 3 tallies in a minute 30 and 31.
That's true, but we have seen them score 7 goals twice this season.
That is true.
They did against Canisius earlier in the year.
Both of those were here, as Vermont will work this one deep. Ace Cowens, one of the better hockey names you'll hear. Lost handle of the puck there. Chip to center. Burgess can't get there. Taken over by Andrew Lucas. 12 points on the year and a +3, which is tough to do on a team that is 3-17-4. So credit to Lucas with that. Now he'll take a shot. Savory makes the stop. It was underneath his right pad, but he'll cover up and get another whistle. So Lucas looking dangerous there early on here in the second.
Yeah, Vermont clearly coming out trying to spoil the Engineers' big night. That's the mindset you want to have as a team coming into an aggressive atmosphere like the Freakout is. Lots of fans here tonight, everybody in red, and I think they've shown everyone here tonight that their record does not indicate the team that they are.
Face off coming up as Lodermeyer got tossed from the dot. That's an advantage RPI. Engineers win it. Chipped out and down by Lappinen, but Mike Gornall's going to beat everybody down the ice and beat out the icing call. Good hustle there by the senior. out of Irwin, Pennsylvania, former North Dakota Fighting Hawk, and now puck back in the RPI end. Lepinen nearly lost it there. Then two Catamounts run into each other, but they keep the puck. Esposito stolen away by Lepinen, chipping up the wall. Gornell takes a hard hit into the wall. Penalty coming up here. Could be more than two. We'll see what the call is. A dangerous hit, and a board is going to be called.
And Gornell is still down on the ice. As you mentioned, a very kind of a tough hit to take. He's getting looked at by the training staff now.
Yep, Austin Jones is out there, the RPI first year as the hockey trainer here. And yeah, a dangerous hit. You don't like to see it.
Especially with Gornell for RPI. He's got 16 points on the season. He's one of the top scorers for RPI. He's getting up.
Yeah, he's shaking it off. He is one of the tougher guys they're going to find. So if he can't shake it off, not a lot of guys can. And,
yeah.
He's able to get off on his own. That's great to see. It's going to be a 2-minute boarding call, which is probably the right call. I didn't have a real good angle on it. I just saw it. Anytime you have a board, there's a decent chance they turn it into a 5, but not the case here.
So yeah, he'll go to the bench, and as you mentioned, one of the toughest guys on this team for sure. Played in North Dakota for 2 seasons, and I'm sure many college hockey fans have seen. He once sent a guy through the glass on a big check.
Dave Smith was pleading the case there. Now, to the penalty committer's credit, Kaufman, Gornell did turn late. Doesn't completely excuse the call. In fact, that's why the call was made. I think that's what the referee is saying, is Gornell turned towards the boards pretty late in the coming together, as you say, and so just the 2-minute call. But a third power play for RPI. We'll see if they're able to get it going. They were 1 for 3 yesterday. Polino on the move, pulls up there, senior out of Buffalo, and it'll be whacked out to center. Zeke takes over out of Avon, Connecticut. Former Providence Friar is Zeke, who's really stepped into his own here offensively for these Engineers in his season and a half with the team. Now Polino, Babachuk, wrist shot coming, and that one gets all the way to Harmon, and he'll cover up. I didn't see that one. Looked like it skipped on in, and he's able to gobble it right on up.
But lately, Babachuk's been having a knack of seaming his shots through and making sure they get on the netminder, despite having several players in front of the net. He's finding the seams and getting it through. So would not be surprised if one of those trickles in for Babachuk.
Face-off coming up here in the Vermont zone. Ashbrook down low, centering pass, one-timer Burgess. Nice job to keep it in by Kjellberg, then he kicked it out of the zone. It was a good initial effort there by the freshman. Has great hands, and we saw it there, but his feet were the one that did him in that time. Kjellberg into the wall, and it's cleared out by the Catamounts. Savory out of his net to play. Vermont going to try and change, and Savory not going to test it here. We've seen him make the long stretch pass from his goalie position this year. He does have 3 assists on the season, but elects to just leave it this time. Ashbrook into the zone. Drops it off for Burgess. Across, some room. Shot coming. Hallbauer got the tip from Ashbrook, but it went wide anyway. Ashbrook now tied up. Lepinen, penalty about to expire. Burgess trying to drive the net, poked away from him. O'Donnell trying to clear. Stolen away by Lepinen. Hallbauer fakes a shot down low, and Ashbrook put it off the side. Harmon might have got his glove on it. Ashbrook a move and a shot that doesn't go. And now Johnson will stick handle. Lost it out to center.
I think at this point you got to give Harmon credit. He's shown up tonight for the Catamounts.
Will be played by Jerry here. Stefanos Lekas, the goalie, was played 95% of the time between the pipes here for Vermont, and he played every game last year, not starting for the Catamounts, it is the aforementioned Tyler Harmon. And he has been solid when called upon so far this evening. There's a big hit along the boards there by Johnson. Knocking Evers down, or make that Alvaro. Jerry came out of the pile with it. Alvaro pokes it to center ice. Turning with it is Dallas Como. And a whistle here and a penalty coming up. I believe it's on Vermont. They were the ones who had the puck. We'll see.
Looks like they called a slash.
No, it's on RPI.
Huh.
Engineers never touched it. Anyway, Johnson's going off for tripping here.
Yeah, interesting call, because Vermont definitely would have had a breakaway
right, they were breaking
on that.
into the zone,
I'm not sure.
Which is why I thought maybe the play was offside.
Okay.
So that's why they blew it dead.
Okay.
That's my guess.
But again, so this top RPI penalty kill goes to work here again tonight after getting a power play chance of their own. And again, you know, when you get a goaltender that doesn't play much, it's kind of like he's got to prove something and why he should be in net. And so far, Harmon's doing that for the Catamounts tonight.
So a power play chance here for UVM, and the Engineers clear it out.
It's a great start to the penalty kill for RPI.
0 for 1 today are the Catamounts. Had their one chance back in the first period. Talked about the solid penalty kill for RPI this year at just under 86% now. And now Will Riley will find some room and fire it all the way down.
And a smart play there from Babichuk. He got it in the neutral zone, forcing a turnover on the break-in for the Catamounts, and then was smart to fling it back to Riley, let him chew off a little more clock.
On now. Vermont will play it into the zone, but a good hit that time allows the Engineers to clear. Ferner applied the pressure, and Polino cleared it out. So far, halfway through this Vermont power play, they haven't had too much going on. Moving in is Lucas. He is dangerous. Wraps it around. Lodermeyer lets it run. LeMay back to Lodermeyer. LeMay at the point. Evers, Lucas. Back to Evers. Lucas down low, one-timer, and he didn't catch it cleanly. That was Simon Boyko. He had some room as Saber was down and out. All he could do was get that right pad across, but save was made as Boyko did not get what he wanted on that shot. Cleared out by O'Reilly, 23 to go on the power play. Out of his net is Harmon. Wrapping out to center. Fed back in wide a goal. That was Babichuk. 8 seconds to go in this power play. They do have the one chance out of it. That might be it, as it'll be flipped in. Kept in by Beretta. Babichuk takes a hit. Vermont staying on the attack. Now 5-on-5. A shot goes wide from the blue line by Long. Just a couple of points for Long this year, a goal and an assist. Now Babichuk back the other way for RPI. He'll pull up. Babichuk. Handed off, and Jerry floated out of the zone, eventually lost it. Beretta. Shot blocked down. And now Linden. Chipping up the boards, turned over at the half wall. Esposito loses out to Babichuk, spins it ahead for Jerry. Engineers could use a change here. That was a dangerous pass by Babichuk, but it's finds its way through. Johnson will carry, changing behind him a couple of forwards. Nice move by Jake Johnson, trying to get away from O'Donnell. It'll be gloved down there. Now Johnson out of the scrum. Across. Hallbauer looking for the redirection. He threw it through a crowd of bodies and went all the way to the corner untouched. Sent back into the zone by Johnson. Chased down by Petrillo. Petrillo over for Esposito. And now backwards they go. And the breakout will begin once again from behind the Vermont goal.
And I think one of the things that we haven't seen from the Engineers tonight that we saw a lot of last night is the ability for them to really get going in on the cycle. And I think we haven't gotten to see them dump the puck and chase it too much. They've been getting in really well, but they have not been dumping and chasing as they come up ice yet again.
This played in deep. They wave off the icing. Evers over to get it, and now someone blows the whistle dead. They are going to blow it for something. Oh, penalty. Elbowing.
Oh man,
I
another
missed it. Wasn't
another
away
penalty.
from the puck. Yeah.
You know, it's tough to get going on the game. It's with all these penalties, there's no ebb and flow.
So with that stoppage here, we're in our first break, media break of the period. We're going to have another interview coming up here as Brian Richardson will step in. We'll get his headset gear situated. Brian, thanks so much for coming on the broadcast with us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Brian Richardson, class of 1996. He recently went to the Athletics Hall of Fame, 2017. I remember that. It was just a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And Brian, what does the memory of the Big Red Freakout bring out in you? Obviously, you played against Vermont at least once in this game, maybe twice. But 92, were you in that game or
yeah,
no? Yeah,
92. That was my first year.
And 94.
And 94. And,
all right.
Vermont always had some really good teams coming in here with Tim Thomas and Martin St. Louis,
yep.
and you know, obviously a couple of great guys that went on to play in the NHL. So, you know, the competition was great, obviously, but the atmosphere here has always been amazing. And you know, with the band and the fans, and you know, we were fortunate enough to sell out or get close to a sellout most games, and we loved it.
I've seen some great video from back in '94 of that game, the 2-2 game, where St. Louis was a freshman and Tim Thomas in goal for Vermont. You guys had obviously some great talent on your end of things too. You and some of your teammates. Obviously, you were one of the top scorers on that group throughout your career, averaging just about 50 points a season from your sophomore year on. What made you so successful at the offensive end, do you think?
Yeah, you know what? I honestly, playing with good line mates and playing with good teammates is, you know, it's a team game, and it's a tough game to play anything individually, right? And and I was always fortunate enough to play with guys that created space, got open. And I guess one thing that made me good is I could hold on to the puck and like Coach Dave's talked about now with his group, puck possession, right? And then,
right. Wasn't quite as you know, looked at back then.
It's not, but it was still something that I prided in my game is, you know, we wanted to have the puck in our hands because then we can make stuff happen, and they can't. And then I played with guys that created space and got open, and I just tried to put it on their tape and let them do the work.
As a shot comes in from Babachuk, just like Saj. RPI was on the power play when I was talking to him back in the first. Here, Engineers are back on the power play again. Riley trying to walk his way in. We got Brian Richardson with me, class of 96. He was on that 94-95 team, being honored tonight, the most recent ECAC hockey champion. This group here trying to change that, of course, as they're starting off the second half of the season very strong and trying to first beat Vermont here in the Freakout. Is shorthanded up ice now is Misley for the Catamounts. 30 seconds to go on the RPI power play. Engineers trying to work it ahead. Zeke will shoot it in. And what was that ECAC hockey tournament like? Because you guys were the 6th seed. It must have been, obviously you're underdogs all the way. Mike Tamburo stood on his head a couple of times for you guys, but what was that experience like for you?
You know what, for us it was, the unfortunate part is we didn't do great during the regular season, but we were a way better team than that, or than our record showed. And I think, you know, towards the end of the year, we kind of got together as a group and said, hey, let's figure out what we can do a little differently and change our fortunes a little bit. And going into Harvard, obviously beating them, and then you know, having a goalie that was as hot as Mike was. Doesn't matter what team you are, if your goalie's hot, you're gonna be in every game, right? And then you know, we got some good bounces, had some great play up front, and we were fortunate to get through that Harvard series and then go on to Lake Placid.
When you guys played in that opening round against Harvard, when you have the tie and you play a second game, I'm always curious because back in, I think in the 80s and 90s, sometimes they played a shorter second game. Or was that a full second game you guys played to beat Harvard?
Yeah,
okay.
It was a full game.
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
only if you tied you played it, or how was there always
you know what?
going to be two?
I don't really know. I don't think they really explained the rules to us. It's we just went out. We just went out there and played. And you know what? They probably did, but we weren't listening.
Yeah,
we just knew we had to beat them, and you know, and I think tying them, you know, being the 6th seed against the 3rd place seed, and knowing that we were better than we were, I think we got that confidence and we went in and took care of business, right? So.
And then in the championship game, I know you mentioned it, but a team that you'd lost to and tied early in the year, Princeton.
Yeah.
5-1. When the game was kind of put away, you're there in Lake Placid, not, only 15 years after Miracle on Ice. You had to kind of feel a little bit of that in you, right?
Oh yeah, you goosebumps all over, right? And again, what we set out before the end of the season, saying that we're better than we are, we should be there, and you know what, we kind of, years before, we kind of dropped the ball where we had probably arguably better teams,
right?
And should have gone a little further, and we didn't, right? So I think that was a little bit of pent up emotion on our group,
sure.
And we said, okay, we're not going to let this slip again, and we took our chances, and then we had great goaltending, and that's what made us successful.
And you guys, playing in this building, there's been some renovations to it. I'm sure you guys are happy to see that as alums. I saw you playing out there earlier, the alumni game. Getting out there, it was a pretty big group that we had out there playing tonight. What did you kind of hear from those guys, and a lot of them are your teammates, of course?
Well, it's amazing the changes they've made, and it's fantastic. Good on Seth, and good on Dave, and the university for doing it. And Dave talks about wanting to be a top level team, and that goes with the amenities and the facilities and stuff like that to get good recruits in here. Because some of these great top end kids have choices, right? And so it's great to see that the facilities have improved. And you know what? Listen, they were great. We thought they were great when we came in here, right? And, and now you look at what we could have had, and we're like, oh God, I wish I was a little younger, But no, it's great to see the effort and the time they're putting into the organization to try to get back up to be one of those higher end teams.
Speaking with Brian Richardson, class of '96, Hall of Fame class of 2017. Just briefly, what was that feeling like when you got the call from Lee McElroy telling you were in the Hall of Fame?
To be honest with you, I saw the 518 number come through my phone. I thought I owed money to the school, so I was hesitant to answer it. But when I got the call, honestly, it's humbling. It's a great tradition. It's a great pride. It's fantastic. It's to be mentioned with any of these guys in that Hall of Fame category is. I still don't feel maybe I'm not deserving, but I'm glad, and I'll take it, and I really enjoyed the whole process and being part of that group now.
Now, obviously, the committee thought you were, and I'm sure most RPI hockey fans feel you're worthy of that distinction. So that's fantastic, Brian. Your kids play hockey now, or what are they into?
So my son is he's 20. He's playing his last year junior in Dallas.
Okay.
And my daughter is a soccer player. Actually,
all right.
She's going to university in Canada near Vancouver.
Okay.
But she's playing NCAA Division II soccer, so it's the only Canadian university that plays NCAA soccer.
What school is that?
Simon Fraser
Simon
University.
Fraser. Oh yes, I've heard of that. Okay, yeah, I'm a big soccer guy. Don't tell the hockey folks. Keep that on the down low.
You know what? Hey, listen. As we grew up, we were multiple sport guys, so I encourage it. I encourage it with all the young kids. You should play as many as you can.
Absolutely. As RPI and Vermont still looking for our first goal this game. Didn't think we'd be here after what happened last night, but 8 minutes to go in the period. Brian for a couple more minutes here before he let him go, as Vermont is on the attack. Shot by Evers is blocked and cleared out to center. Brian, on the road in ECAC hockey, Vermont used to be a league team back when you were here.
Yep.
What was that road trip like, and going to all those other Ivy League schools as well?
You know what? The whole atmosphere for me was amazing. And one of the main reasons I chose to play college instead of play junior back home was the atmosphere. And going into Vermont was always tough. It was great. Gutterson Fieldhouse, it was. And I'd been recruited by them too. So. And then they told me that they didn't think I could handle the school and the hockey together. So it was a little bit of. Little added fuel to the fire when I go into that place and try to prove them wrong,
That's fantastic.
Going around, and I remember Cornell distinctly when you go in and they open the newspapers during the starting lineup, and then they crumple and throw them at you, and I love that. I think that's amazing. I think I love the way the fans get into it, the way they yell at the teams here. I think it's all in good fun, makes for a great atmosphere for us to play in.
Absolutely, and the cheering, right? I know you follow the team from afar. You're back up in Canada. What other interests have you gotten into post-playing career? I know you retired from 2008-09. Was your last year playing pros out in Europe somewhere, yeah?
Well, I coached a little bit in the leagues that I coached my kids a little bit.
As the shot comes in, pad save, that one goes just wide. Jerry nearly untied this thing. Go ahead.
I coached a little bit in the junior league that I played in before I came to RPI as well. And but other than that, you know what? I'm just I'm not coaching this year. I'm enjoying some home time, playing some golf, and trying to make a living. And I get up to Clarkson to watch RPI beat Clarkson there a few weeks ago, which was a great game.
Absolutely.
It's only an hour from me, so and whenever I can get out, I try to find some good kids, the next guys that come to RPI for Dave if he's interested. And
great.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll take him. There's a chance there. Herman making a bid for his first collegiate goal. And that one was turned aside, and it'll be fed down ice. Brian Richardson here with me for another minute as RPI looks to try and get a goal while he's on here. Score one for Brian here.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Here comes Burgess walking his way in, takes a shot that'll be held onto. And we'll get a whistle here. And Brian, I want to thank you for coming on with us here. It was
My pleasure.
Great to chat
awesome.
with you. Class of 96 on the 95 ECAC hockey title team. Brian Richardson there, and we have 6:05 to go. Joe's going to rejoin us here.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it.
Announced crowd here, not quite announced yet. 3,806. Is that right? Face-off coming up here in the Vermont zone. We had Brian Richardson here in this period, and Mike Satapor in the first. RPI couldn't score for either of them. Chance and they score now. Chase Zeke. 1-0 RPI. Goal number 10 for Zeke.
That's goal number 7, Perry.
I'm excited.
No, but I mean, that ties the team lead with Riley and Polino on 7 goals on the year. And, I was watching, while you were interviewing there, I was watching the game, and I noticed he put up the DeGrande Herman line with Jerry, and they got back to cycling the puck and creating chances off the cycle, not trying to bring the puck in, have Vernon just dumped it in, and then they dumped the chase. And I think as a result, we got an offensive zone face-off from that, and then Zeke buries it into the open net, and the Engineers figure out Harmon.
Finally solving the junior netminder from Vermont, and maybe that's what a little breakthrough will help RPI.
Vermont's definitely going to come back on a rush.
Puck into the crowd. Watch out on that far side. Looks like everybody's all right, but Engineers get on the board. You're right. 7th goal for Zeke. I was ahead of myself there. I was a few weeks ahead of time, Joe.
Predicting the future now.
Yeah, he will get 10. Don't worry, Joe.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time.
We've got our very own Oracle, Perry Lascaris.
He got assists to Dubinsky and Jake Johnson there. So there you go. And Zeke and Polino, saw Polino score last night. They continue to put up numbers here at the Houston Fieldhouse. Give you those in a moment. As Lepinen had it blocked, fed to the near corner. Zeke now 4 goals and 8 assists, and this is 13th game. Just about a point a game here at the Fieldhouse this year. He's become a little bit more of a passer this year than in years past. We expect him to do a lot of shooting and sniping. Didn't have to snipe there. He could put about anywhere in the net. He had the whole frame to shoot at. And there was a shot from the point. Redirected, Savory. And still no whistle. They scrap for it. It goes behind the goal. Savory was down and out. He was tied up there with Boyko. Finally, Boyko's back up on his feet. And the Catamounts will take over in their own zone. Shots are 23-21 Vermont.
And as we mentioned, the Catamounts are not going to let this game get away from them. They felt like they've been in this game the entire night. They're not going to let it just slip away as we see another dangerous chance from them. And again, continuing to press.
Here's a breakaway. Morello trying to go 5-hole. And he was denied by Harmon.
And a little fun fact from behind the scenes action, listening to a podcast about the Engineers hockey team here, Jake Morello, they have a kind of a competition at the end of practice sometimes where they do breakaways, and Morello is the current Lemonier, meaning that he was the last person to score on the breakaway, so he has to wear a yellow helmet at practice. And again, I think if he makes that one there, he may not have to wear the helmet anymore, just because it's the beginning of the month, and he got his breakaway right there, but he does not convert. But nevertheless, a great scoring chance from the senior from Slingerlands.
This doesn't qualify, Joe. I'm sorry. This doesn't work.
I think they would have given him an exception. That if he opens it up 2-zip, that would have been a great play for Morello on the breakaway.
Not hockey, Joe, but we had history made in Schenectady tonight, this afternoon. RPI men's basketball beat Union 85-79, the 12th straight Liberty League victory. That's the best start in school history in RPI basketball. Over 100 years of basketball here. They haven't had conference play that long, so I think conference play started in the 70s.
They still have 17 in a row, just one game shy of that 18 stretch mark. And again, last night, I mentioned this, but I got to talk to the seniors on that team, Kevin Davis and Mitch Whalen.
They were on your podcast.
Yes, they were on the RPI Athletics podcast, and they talked about the importance of team defense. They're kind of like the hockey team here. They don't have that one guy that scores all the points. They've got multiple guys that can score, but they rely on strong, tough team defense, and I think that's why they're taking the league by storm this year. They certainly think that's why.
Dumped in by the Catamounts, beating out the icing is Cowens. He'll work his way behind the goal. And now Bucco. Jacques Bucco. Looking for some room, works it back to the point, shot in by Long. It's a hard deflection off the end boards. Now it's Cowens trying to escape Tour Linden, one of RPI's better defensive centermen. Pass from behind the net, gets by everybody. And all the way down the ice, that was Bucco out of South Windsor, Connecticut. Former Chilliwack Chief. Same junior team as Tommy Lee for RPI, not in the lineup tonight.
You know, I love watching Jake Morello play, Perry. He's an absolute buzzer out there, just flying down the ice, forcing the Catamounts to have pressure in the offense, get back and force on the breakout. But Morello just an absolute buzzer inside the offensive zone on the forecheck.
Out to center goes the puck. Ferner can't corral that one. Kjellberg leaves it for Brady Ferner, sophomore out of Dakota Dunes, South Dakota. Off for Rory Herman. He takes a hard hit here. Penalty coming up. They're going to get Evers for something. They're going to say interference. Say the puck wasn't close enough. There's always that gray area with interference calls, Joe. And that one found a little more of the black than the white, I guess. So to the box, another power play chance for RPI.
Yeah, a lot of chances here for RPI on the power play. They haven't been able to cash in, but I don't think it's because of a lack of good setup or good scoring chances. I think it's because of the play of Harmon. But RPI, they figured out Harmon, or Zeke figured him out just a few moments ago, and we'll see what they can do with the man advantage. Dubinsky out to take the draw. Another thing I love about the RPI power play, they're not afraid to just go with 2 defensemen and 3 forwards. They don't feel the need to get an extra forward out there because they trust the offensive power play of their defensemen. And why shouldn't they when Kjellberg, Babachuk, and Riley all have over 10 points on the season, and you got a guy with the potential like Hallbauer.
Immediately cleared by Vermont. The face-off battle, Joe, has gone back and forth tonight. And see the Engineers move it in. It's Polino to the corner. Stick nearly lifted, but Riley can't corral. Draws are now 20-17 RPI. So
I think on that note, it's going to be a matter of when they get the timely draw. Which team gets the timely draw when it's going back and forth like that.
Vermont with the defensive zone draw in this particular case, and they were able to clear it out right away. Engineers are back in on the attack, however. Riley swatted out of there by Lodermeyer.
One of the adjustments I'm noticing on the Vermont penalty kill, they're doing a good job of jamming RPI up along the boards right when they enter the zone.
Halfway through the man advantage for the Engineers. Gornall back to Ashbrook, settles a bouncing puck, fires on goal, saved by Harmon, still loose far side, and somehow makes it through to the near side. Kjellberg away from a check, up top some room, a shot by Gornall way high. And that'll be cleared out by Misley.
And how do you stop? How do you get in on the play? How do you break into the zone when they're stopping you at the boards? You do exactly what Ashbrook and Gornall did there. They had a little give and go.
5th power play chance for the Engineers, 0 for 4 so far. Still 27 seconds left here. Gornell is fed across. Here's Hallbauer. Ashbrook. Shelberg. Wrist shot. That one blockered away by Harmon. Now Misley up the wall. Can't clear the zone. Yes, he can.
Ooh, close one there.
Sends the linesman on the near side, Brian Oliver.
So under a minute to go now in the second period. Of course, this is the most minute of the game. Normally we don't have a stoppage in play before the most minute of the game, but now we do, and so the field house here is going to have a chance to really get up on their feet and get going.
You know Mose is sweating now with all these fans in the building, Joe. Quickly fired down. That'll just about do it for the power play. Savory thought about giving it a wing there, but he'll just hand it off. Back to 5-on-5. Shots are even, 25 apiece, but RPI has a 1-0 lead thanks to Chase Zeke's 7th goal of the year. Now a long shot, looking for the redirection from Morello. Kept in by Burgess. He'll fire again off the blocker of Harmon. Johnson, right back down low, 30 seconds to go in the period. Ferner, puck hopped over his stick, but he gathers and feeds it back down low. Burgess now trying to dig it out of the skates of Evers. Vermont clears to center ice, and this will hop out of play, I think. 13.4 to go in this second period. We have a couple more interviews coming up in our second intermission. We have the PU and the GM will always stop by here at the Big Red Freakout to talk about clubs and student government here at RPI.
Yeah, and always a fun time, right, Perry?
It usually is.
I had a great interview last period with Lee McElroy.
I saw that.
One of the most awesome people on campus here at RPI.
That's fantastic. I'm glad you got a chance to talk to him. He's heard enough from me, I'm sure. Face-off pushed to the wall. Gioshvili will fire in. Easy glove save for Savory, giving Vermont a narrow shot advantage here, although many have been from that distance. Now we get a whistle here as Gioshvili threw an extra little shoulder towards Johnson, and now some more back and forth. I don't know, does Cowan, I feel like some of these guys might have previous.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that. I don't remember it from last year when we were at UVM.
Yeah,
but
it could be, you're right.
It's Rory Herman out there that they're going after, and that's not a guy you want to mess with. I mean, he is one of the biggest guys on this team. And he's also a freshman, so I'm not sure why they would have beef with him.
So RPI in the period, actually shots are 26 even. I missed an RPI attempt in there. Engineers have 5 power plays, 0 for 5. They have generated a number of chances on them. They have 10 shots from those 5 power plays. It's not a bad ratio. They've had the puck in the offensive zone. Maybe a little bit unlucky not to have scored, but as it is, 0 for 5 so far. Joe, what do you think?
I think Harmon's really the story for the Catamounts tonight. I think he's done a great job because RPI has had a number of penalty and chances. But I think what's interesting is that I think their best chances on the night have come at 5-on-5. And I think we saw it on that goal from Zeke. I think their best chances have come when they're dumping the puck and they're going into the corners and digging it out, getting it up to the points, creating separation for their point men and allowing those shots to come through. And so it's interesting, yes, that you always want to have an extra skater out there. You want to have a power play. But I think RPI is playing much better 5-on-5 hockey.
Lone goal in the period was Chase Zeke from Jake Johnson and Zach Dubinsky. 14:05 of the frame. That's the only goal so far, Zeke's 7th of the year. We're going to step aside once again from the Houston Fieldhouse and be back with more in our second intermission. Your score is RPI 1 and Vermont nothing after 2 here on RPI TV.
You ready, Lou?
Yep.
Let's go.
Back here live at the Houston Fieldhouse with Caitlin Kennedy, the president of the union. And Caitlin, thanks so much for coming on here.
Yeah, of course, it's a blast. Thanks for having me.
How's the Freakout been treating you guys so far?
It's awesome. You know, every year at the executive board, we hand out the giveaways at the front entrance. So it's a great time to see everyone, to meet everyone, and hopefully get a win for RPI.
What encouraged you to run for PU originally?
So I joined the executive board 4 years ago, my freshman year, and I kind of never looked back since. I mean, I love working with all the other students. I describe it as kind of joining every club at once, and so getting the chance to see firsthand all the amazing things our clubs do every day is just a unique experience, and I wanted to become PU to hopefully foster that throughout our younger groups and get everyone kind of pushing towards a strong union.
What are some of the big accomplishments of the e-board that you've had under your watch here?
Yeah, so this year we've done a lot of cool stuff. We've approved about 10 new clubs. We have women's basketball, we have women in business, we have Dungeons and Dragons, so we have a huge variety. We've got the student mailroom, which is actually opening up this Monday, so super exciting to see that coming over to the union. We've done a ton of facilities upgrades, very minimally. We've done painting, new furniture throughout the Mueller Center, the Playhouse also. If you haven't been over there, definitely check it out. And new furniture and carpets and everything all over the union. So.
And we have two women in the two highest positions in the union too, with you and Megan. That has to be a pretty big deal too.
Yeah.
And for the time being, and obviously hopefully more as the years go on.
Absolutely. Megan and I have talked a lot about that, and I think we're not the first, which is awesome.
Right. Yep.
But I think we've done a really good job of fostering the younger women in our community and all of our students to hopefully get involved in student government, because we can make a huge difference, and the more people we can get that message to, the better.
What do you want your legacy to be, I guess, as PU?
I would just like people to remember me as someone who worked to make the union better. Every day is a new challenge, but it's super exciting. And I think hopefully we're building really strong bonds with administration, and I would love to see those continue past my term and past, in years to come. And I think we're on a really good track.
All right, Caitlin Kennedy, President of the Union, thanks so much for stopping by.
Thank you so much.
We'll be back with more from the Houston Fieldhouse in just a bit. You're watching RPI TV.
Hi, my name is Megan Letko, and I am the 154th Grand Marshal. I was encouraged to run for Grand Marshal by the previous positions I have held in student government as well as the previous leaders in this role. I was very inspired by their leadership, and after serving as a senator for the class of 2020 and as the Vice Grand Marshal, I wanted to try serving as the Grand Marshal and making an impact in the Student Senate. The Grand Marshal position is significant because it is the highest elected student position at our school. It has also been around for many years. I am the 154th Grand Marshal, so this position has stood throughout many different time periods, and it serves as a symbol of our school. The Student Senate has been hard at work this year, working on student petitions, committee work, and preparing for our election season. We have also developed a Student Senate survey that we send out to the entire campus. Our committees do a lot of the work that students see around campus, such as completely redoing the student shuttle routes to make them more efficient. As part of student government, I would like my legacy to be the relationships that I have made with students, faculty, and the administration. I want to inspire the next group of student government leaders to value authentic relationships and to better the campus as a whole for RPI students in the future.
Welcome back inside the Houston Fieldhouse. Perry Lascaris, Joe Piscicano here on RPI TV. Ready for the third period, Joe. 1-0, the Engineers on top. Chase Zeke, the only goal of this game. A lot of shots, 26 apiece, and expecting an exciting finish here.
Yeah, hopefully, and again, I hope they can get moving. I hope that there's not too much just of that stifled play due to penalties and icings and offsides. And I think when RPI gets going is when the game is moving and when they're dumping the puck and when they're moving their feet and they're skating. And I think that's how we saw that Zeke goal develop. And that was a goal that you could tell he really wanted it. He saw the open cage and he said, I got to bury it. He said, I got to bury it. There's no way I'm giving up this chance.
Big spot for RPI to win their first Freakout in 5 tries here. So it'll be interesting to see how the Engineers come out in the third period, whether they can add that second or third goal.
I think they're going to have to. I think they can. Vermont's stuck around. They've been here the whole time. You're going to have to get back at. You're going to have to continue to press because Vermont has had all their success against the ECAC teams, and it's only a 1-0 game. It's not, and they've been playing with the Engineers. It's not like they've been just completely overwhelmed and that they're happy that it's 1-0 and that they feel like they're a confident hockey team right now, and they're going to keep pressing on RPI. RPI cannot let up at all if they want to come away with a victory. A great first shift there. I think Burgess sending a guy into the glass. It's great aggressive first shift. But again, another stoppage here, just 8 seconds into the third, as we're going to get a defensive zone draw coming up.
Yep, face-off here in the RPI end. Face-offs have been pretty tight so far. In fact, they're 20 apiece. UVM breaks that deadlock as it's fired in. Sent back to the point and all the way down. Stopped there by Harmon. He'll leave it aside. Bucco ahead. Cowens with speed into the zone. Ace Cowens leaves it at the wall. Gioshvili up top, some room. A shot was blocked by Burgess. And up corner. Now Riley. Will Riley, the Toronto native. 17 points on the year after his 2 assists yesterday as the Engineers dump it in. Chopped ahead. Now a shot comes in off the end wall. Gornell back to the point for Chelbert. He'll take a wrist shot. That's blockered away by Harmon. Center ice, Gioshvili. Go ahead, Joe.
Good to see Gornell out there continuing to stay aggressive after taking a tough check into the boards. You don't want him to get into that any sort of a scare factor. Went right down and put it on net.
Shot comes in, save made, put off the side of the net by Gornell as Harmon was on his way over to the near side, but Gornell did have some room if you're going to put that one on frame.
Another great chance there, probably the second best chance of the night for RPI. And again, it comes from pushing that puck in deep.
Zeke out to center for Polino, and now Johnson for Hallbauer. Sophomore out of Howell, New Jersey. Tipped deep by Dubinsky. Lodermeyer. Johnson pinching. takes a shove from Lodermeyer. Lodermeyer goes down. Puck's underneath him. Polino works it back to the point where Zeke will shoot it back down low. DeRoche, LeMay, and now back behind DeRoche, claiming it. Petrillo. Now LeMay again. He can't corral it. Good pressure again, that time by Johnson. Loose in the slot. Finally worked out to center. Boyko skating after it, but the Engineers take over. Zeke absorbs a hit there from LeMay. Now DeRoche back to get it. Sophomore from Linfield, Massachusetts. Ahead from Lucas. Stick handling at center. Good break up there on LeMay as Jerry had it for a moment. Oh, a huge hit by Herman, and he's going to take a penalty for that. As the Engineers are going to touch the puck, it's going to be an interference call. I don't know. I would have seen if it maybe elbowing. I don't know where his elbow was, but
I mean, it was an open ice
hit.
Yeah, again, he's one of the strongest guys on that team there. So when he gets a clean hit, it's there. Watching the replay now.
Yeah, you know, he had, for all intents and purposes, he had the puck.
Yeah.
He lost the puck.
I think he lost it because he saw Rory Herman skating right at him. But nevertheless, RPI will again go in on their penalty kill.
A chance here for Vermont. Try and tie this thing up.
And this is where it can be dangerous for RPI. You have to make sure you're staying to the fundamentals like they did right there. Just going right out on the opening faceoff and clearing the puck.
We get the benefit of seeing it a second time, and the referees had to make that call full speed. I've tried to officiate a couple of alumni games in my day, not varsity, but it's harder than it looks.
Yeah,
to referee,
especially when you're down on the ice level with we have the benefit of being up in the bird's eye view with it all, and also we have the benefit of replay. But one thing I want to talk about right now is I think one of the biggest improvements on RPI's penalty kill this season has been that they're not just waiting for the opposition to come in on the play, and they're not just waiting at the blue line. They're causing some troubles right below the goal line, as we see here with Ashbrook in on the forecheck, and then again also at neutral ice. I think that's why they've been so successful this year, is that they're not letting teams get set up. They're forcing them to dump.
Shot down the ice, and it'll be played quickly by Harmon. Tie up in the corner. Gornell trying to clear, and this will be sent all the way down. Turning with it is Boyko, or make it Evers rather. Lucas back to Evers. Two of the more skilled offensive D-men for this Catamount team. They're in deep now. Here's Lucas at the blue line. He can't corral it. Morello wants to skate shorthanded. Here comes Morello. Runs out of angle, goes behind the goal. Trying to center. Linden trying to tuck it home. Oh, it would have been 2-2 nights, and in similar fashion as Linden stick handling close in. Now a good hip check there by Ferner. Separates his man from the puck, and the Engineers clear it down.
And Morello and Linden have been known on the penalty kill this year to get those odd man rushes. We see another one there, and a great opportunity.
Back into the RPI zone. O'Donnell was looking for that centering pass. Now Gioshvili trying to get away from Polino, and Polino picks his pocket in the end after a pretty good battle through the legs of Cowens to center ice. Zeke for a lane, takes a shot looking near post, and got that one away. Dubinsky got shoved out of the way. Now it's back out to center. Riley, 14.5 to go, third period. Just 1-0 is the RPI lead. And that one goes out of play. And we get a stoppage here.
RPI doing a good job continuing to press, even on that penalty kill there. Morello and Linden getting the short handed opportunity, showing that they're not happy with a 1-0 lead right now. They're going to continue to press and try and get more up on the scoreboard. And when you look at last night's stat sheet and you look at all the guys that they had 7 goals, but not one of those goals was scored by the same person. They had 7 different goal scorers last night, and I think that makes the entire team feel good in the locker room. It's not just one guy that's getting the offensive player or offensive engineer of the game. It's a whole group of them, and I think they want to feel that way every night. So that's why they're going to continue to press and not just sit back and hope for a 1-0 victory at the Freakout.
14:26 to go in the period, Joe, and this might not surprise many of you, but we've never had a 1-0 Freakout before. We've had 2-0, but we've never had 1-0.
Well, we'll see if it may be the first, but as I mentioned, I don't think that the players are going for history on that particular statistic.
Of course, that'd be boring. There'd be no more goals. They want more goals. Everyone wants more goals, except for maybe the goalies. Shelburne. Lappinen just threw it right in the long. Long will fire it on goal. Might have been high. Savory stick handling a little bit here. Ooh. Had to be careful. And he'll work it back to center with some help from Lappinen. Back in on goal, although it's swept away by Shelburne before it got to Savory. And now Lappinen ahead. Looking for Ashbrook. Whacks it behind. Gornell. Spins away from a check. Mike Gornell. Spins away from 2. Indirect to the point. Shot goes wide. Klee, a couple of fans on it there, and pops back out to Gornell again, and he gives it away. Como. Beretta. He'll look to cycle. Como. Given a shove by Mason Klee. And he ties up and takes him down. Legally, I suppose, and the Engineers dump it in.
RPI again going to that dump and chase method and getting some scoring chances from it.
Alex Esposito, former Youngstown Phantom. That one hit high off the glass but stays on the ice. Johnson will play. Johnson going to Bloomington Jefferson High School. Going on to play juniors with the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders. This will be moved along. Out to center. This is going to be icing if Johnson can win the race. And he does. And we get another stoppage here. Shots are 31-28 RPI, Joe. They were, I believe, 4 shots away from even for the season. So right now they're sitting 1 fewer shot attempt than taken. It'd be a pretty big step. I don't think RPI has had more shots than they've given up in a number of years. So it's a step to being, obviously your core seed improved there, but taking more shots than the opposition is always a good thing.
Right, it's one of the goals of the team this year, and I think you have to credit a lot of it to team defense as well. A lot of blocked shots that they've been getting, not having to depend on the netminders as much.
And the shots on goal have been up, of course. That helps, and giving up fewer as well. The Engineers are in the top half of the league as far as allowing shots this season. Now a centering pass, and Burgess, if he was left-handed, would have had a chance at that one. But slips past him, and Vermont's able to clear. Now tripped up in deep was Riley. Letting him play a little bit here. We've seen a couple of things go uncalled here. We've also seen a number of penalties that have been called tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ripped around by the Catamounts. Morello takes a shove there from Evers. Now it's thrown in front. Riley picks it off. And now a chance to break in. Morello, save, rebound, another stop by Harmon. Oh boy, Jake Morello. 2 chances there on the breakaway. Now a penalty coming up on Burgess. Lucas into the zone, trying to make a move on Babachuk. He's denied, but a 4th power play coming here from Vermont. The fans don't like it.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with them on this one. The definition of a check is separating the man from the puck, and that's exactly what Burgess did there. But now just looking at the replay with Morello, You can tell he's trying to get that in. He had Linden there, but he wanted to get that in. Big night here for him. Second breakaway, but Harmon up to the task. Again, I think he's been the story for Vermont here tonight. I would not be surprised if they gave him another chance after this game, despite Lucas being the absolute starter on that team. I think he's played phenomenal tonight.
Here's a puck move to the near side. Gioshvili gets it back, circle shot, blocked by Ferner. Gioshvili again looking for a shooting lane. Hands it off. O'Donnell. Cowan. O'Donnell, a shot blocked by the shin padded Jerry. Back to the point. Shot by O'Donnell and a save by Savory. Puck's behind him, swept away and cleared.
Oh, Billy Jerry.
I think it was Polino too. Polino crept in behind. He's the only one small enough to get back there. He went behind Savory and poked the puck away. Might have been near the goal line. Definitely going to want to see the top-down view of that. As it's cleared back to center. Noah, shorthanded breakaway. Here comes Garnall. Put it wide. Oh, goodness. A couple of breakaways here for RPI in this period. And they haven't been able to sneak a second puck past Harmon. Mike Gornall with that chance.
And up until that point, I thought that was the most dangerous that the Vermont power play looked, and it was because they were able to get set up right away off the faceoff. Here they come again.
43 to go on the power play. Lucas, a shifty move into the zone. Pulls up at the half wall. Up top for Evers. Evers, a slap shot goes wide, and it's cleared out by Babichuk.
And you know, RPI is doing a great job. I feel like this is going to be the penalty kill that decides the game for RPI. I think this is what's going to keep them out of danger.
Into the zone one more time. Here's Boyko, a shot deflects to the half wall. Kept in there by LeMay. Broken up by Klee, but they stay on the attack. Now it's intercepted by Klee. Just fed to center right to Evers. Allows UVM to move it right back in. Boyko steps into one, but it was partially blocked into the corner. Polino.
I think Klee may have thought that the power play was ending and he didn't want to ice it as he does there. But so interesting because it was coming right to the end and I think he heard the stick and thought, oh, I don't want to ice this. And so he just sent it kind of lightly towards neutral ice. But now they do ice it. 9:22 to go. Again, I think this is a very important, this is middle stanza of the third period. It's still RPI just up 1-0, and I think this is where they have to hold fast. They have to hold strong. They can't let Vermont's got a ton of confidence right now after a great power play, with the exception of the Gornall breakaway there. But this is where they're at. They have to make their stand. They have to get the momentum back in their favor. They have to continue to dump and chase and create the scoring chances now that they're back at even strength.
Well, what all these penalties are doing, Joe, more than anything else, they're hurting RPI's stand as the least penalized team in all of college hockey. They're down to 7.36 minutes per game coming into tonight. But they've taken they've taken 4 penalties. Now that's 8 minutes. That's
8 minutes.
So it's going to go up now.
Yeah, a whole 0.4 or 0.1 per game. But but statistics aside, I think the penalty kill, it's hurt one statistic, but it's helped another statistic, such as their penalty kill. The penalty kill is going to have a higher rating after this.
Right.
So they'll be happy about that. But again, Vermont has gained, I think, in the context of the game, Vermont has gained a ton of confidence from that power play. They've had some great scoring chances.
I forgot about the matching penalties, Joe. RPI's taken 5 for 10 minutes.
Oh man.
It's a disastrous night for the RPI
statistics.
Penalty minute statistic, yeah. But the Engineers lead 1-0. 9:22 to go in the third. Face-off coming here, won cleanly by the Catamounts. Fed in by Long, intercepted by Shelberg. Ashbrook off the boards, hit the linesman and falls to the middle of the ice. Calmly played up the wall by Hallbauer. And in deep. Taking a hit there and going down. And be spun around out to center. Leppinen battling for it. And now shot in by Thomas. Ashbrook goes backwards with it. Dug out of some skates by Ashbrook. And now Hallbauer lifts it ahead. O'Donnell shoots it back in. Spinning puck will be gathered in by Kjellberg. Draft choice of the New York Rangers is Simon Kjellberg in the 6th round in 2018. Of course, his father played for a number of years in the NHL. Patrick, 6 years. Montreal, Nashville, of course.
And Anaheim.
And Anaheim.
Went to the playoffs.
Absolutely.
So good lineage there for Simon Kjellberg.
RPI, yeah, we have a number of NHL legacies on this RPI squad. We've talked about numerous occasions, but not on the broadcast tonight. You have
Mason Cleave.
We
have
father
talked about
Ken,
him.
yep, 13-year career.
Dubinsky as
Zach
well.
Dubinsky's dad as well, you're right. Here's a shot, and a blocker saved by Savory. Puck goes behind the goal, picked up there. Trying to spin and shoot was Bucco. And now moved out by Morello. Burgess trying to get there. Flip back to center, that's going to be offside. Morello carried it in with a glove.
While we're speaking of NHL connections, Todd Burgess and Austin Matthews both share the same hometown. They got to, I believe I read that they got to play a lot together when they were younger.
Makes sense, you're right.
Being two of the top prospects from Phoenix, Arizona. Now, of course, Austin Matthews a bit of a different tier than Todd Burgess. No knock on Burgess. He's still playing Division I college hockey, but Austin Matthews, one of the top scorers in the NHL, and I believe they're also the same age as well. So again, that would make sense for them to play a lot together.
Yeah, Burgess went to the Fairbanks Ice Dogs. He was drafted in that same draft as Kjellberg, 2018, in the 4th round by
Matthews,
the Ottawa Senators.
Not Kjellberg. Kjellberg just got drafted, right?
Both in 2018.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's what I have, but I could be wrong. Anyway,
I thought Burgess was drafted before his.
I think you're right, actually.
His freshman year.
Yeah, you're right. I think it was 2016. 16, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
he
right.
was.
Yeah.
Because he
I have that
redshirted.
wrong. I have that wrong.
Yeah.
You're right. 2016, still 4th round though.
Yeah, but it was the same draft as Matthews.
Yes.
As Austin Matthews.
That makes more sense.
Right.
Riley was a 2017 pick.
Right, that was after his freshman season.
Yep.
It was the last overall pick in the draft by the Pens because that was the year the Pens won the Cup.
Yep.
And I'm sure they're very happy with the with the development of Riley. He's more than
he stuck around for that extra year, which is well publicized. Anyway, 7:43 to go. Engineers have certainly needed Will Riley. He's their Hopey Baker nominee here in 2019.
Deservingly so.
17 points for him this season. Leads the team from the blue line. Although Zeke might have caught him.
Yeah, Zeke definitely. I think this is going to be the first time all season that Riley's not the team leader in points. We're tied for team lead in points.
I think you're right. Esposito played behind. Little wrap for Lodermeyer, but the Engineers work it out. Here is Zeke trying to drop it back behind Dubinsky. Had him cutting to the net. Threw that wraparound pass, tough to direct, and he just missed him. Now a penalty coming up here. Who's it on?
Oh, man.
It's going to be interference, I believe, on Johnson.
And that's not a good penalty to take because you just got out of danger on the last one. And you were starting to get the puck moving up ice. You were starting to get your momentum back. And here they take another one. A lot of penalties tonight. Again, hurting that statistic of lowest penalties taken in college hockey.
So it'll be the 5th power play for Vermont. Interference call on Jake Johnson, who was the most penalized Engineer coming in. 9 minor penalties for 18 minutes for Jake Johnson. Him and Kjellberg actually were tied for the team lead. Johnson will take over that distinction. O'Donnell. Drop pass. Bucco into the zone. Now Gioshvili trying to give it back to Cowens, but the Engineers are able to clear.
A lot of extra skating tonight for the Engineers penalty killers. You have to think that they're going to be tired, but no, who's out there still continuing to forecheck? Torlinden.
He had a big night at both ends of the ice last night, Torlinden, a goal and an assist, doing his 5th tally of the year. Here's Esposito. Handed off to Boyko. Drop it up top. Far side, one-timer, glove save! Savory makes the stop, and he has it again. Probably his biggest save of the night, as he had to get the rebound to a penalty kill stop for RPI's tremendously hot sophomore goaltender, Owen Savory.
Absolutely, and again, this is where RPI has to hold because, and specifically Owen Savory, and he's up to the task there. So we watch the replay, holding the pipe, they dig it out.
Again, he's go post to post here.
Yeah.
Well, this is the previous play where Polino digs it out. Okay. That was from a few minutes.
I was going to say, that was from the last power play.
Last RPI TV, just
yeah.
Listening to me too much is what happened.
But no, again, that was the last, again, puck got in, Polino
tremendous
swept it out.
Look, though. Thanks for the guys back in the booth there.
But UVM, their power play has started to figure it out here later in the game. They come in with not great statistics on the power play, but I think if they've been given enough chances here, they know exactly what they want to do. They've seen what they want on the RPI penalty kill.
Here's Evers for Lucas. Evers, he'll fire one wide. Boyko back to the point. LeMay, stick handling. Evers likes that center blue line shot. They work it down low. Tight angle shot there. Boyko was denied. And now LeMay again. 42 to go on the power play. Centering pass. Right pad stopped there by Savory. As Lodermeyer couldn't get the puck off the ice.
And Savory is just in the zone right now. He knows that he's the most important part of this penalty kill for RPI. His skaters have done a great job tonight, but you can tell that that he needs to be the one to get them through on these penalties.
Well, he's hoping his teammates can score him another goal. As this one leaves the zone, Boyko's pass was just absolutely wired across. Evers couldn't keep it in. Lifted into the zone. Savory has his stick down. He'll fire it off the glass. Lucas to a knee keeps it in. Flipped deep by the Catamounts. Gioshvili. They kill the penalty. Engineers are 5 for 5 on the kill. Poke check center ice. Gornell lifted into the corner. Played around behind by Lucas. And now slowed up here by Jacques Boucault. Now Boucault trying to go coast to coast. Lost out there. Shot and a save by Savory up against the shoulder. As it was Cowens flying in, the junior from Beverly, Massachusetts, looking for number 7 on the year.
And you know, if I'm Coach Smith at this point, I'm thinking about taking a timeout because Vermont is clearly on their rush right now. They can tell they're running out of time, and they don't want to pull their goaltender. They want to tie it up without pulling the goaltender. But if it gets to that point, they will. This is a very, very close game for them, as it has been all year for them. They're used to these close games. Again, they're looking stronger and stronger every time they get the man advantage, but so is Owen Savory in net. And
this is a media stoppage, so RPI gets the benefit of that.
Yeah, they do get the benefit of that. A bit of a break right now because they've skated really well tonight. They skated hard last night, and I think they're gonna really have to dig into the reserves here because it's been a tough battle tonight at the Freakout.
Vermont outshot RPI in the first period, 17-10. Engineers flipped the script in the second, outshot Vermont 16-9, and here in the third it's 10-7 Vermont. So they've flipped back and forth. Third period has been a little more even, of course, and it shows on the shot count there, but 36-33 is Vermont in the lead in the shots on goal department, but RPI continues to lead 1-0.
Yeah, and last week at the Mayor's Cup, you talked about how the one side of the ice seemed to be seeing all the shots.
that was a Davism, yeah. Because from the year before, that's how it was. All the goals were scored on one end of the ice.
But this year, at the Big Red Freakout, we're seeing a similar script from the Mayor's Cup.
And Savory continues to stymie the opposition. It is Evers in his own zone. Blocked down, picked up by O'Donnell. He'll shoot it in. Savory off for Babachuk. Just lobs it towards the blue line. Gloved down by O'Donnell. Loose in the slots. Cleared out by Riley. And now a race for the puck. Long's going to get there just ahead of Morello. He loses an edge and falls down. Up top, one-time drive by Polino goes wide. Dubinsky back to Polino. Spins off ahead of O'Donnell. Lost the puck, gets it back. Still Patrick Polino.
Polino looks like a ballerina out there.
Yeah, he's battling too. Dubinsky cycling for Polino. Twisting and turning. Polino Draws the crowd, throws it across, stepping in Ferner, in front, trying to find Zeke. No. Zeke again a save. Trying to knock it out of the air was Polino, and skated out by Cowens. Back come the Catamounts into the zone. Poked away from him, right to the tape of Polino, lifts it back into UVM territory.
And shout out to Ferner there for getting back on the back check. He was way deep and he skated all the way back. I don't think I've ever seen him skate that fast to prevent the 2-on-1 opportunity.
Icing here on the Catamounts, and we have a face-off coming up back in the UVM zone.
3:07 to go here in the third period. RPI still up 1-0, but Vermont crashing as much as they can. They are pressing they're going to be pressing here for the rest of the game, as they have been all game. And I think they may have called a timeout right now.
So a timeout taken by Vermont here. Smart move. Obviously can't take it with you here. And the one question you have in taking timeouts at any point of a game is you might need it for a challenge, a coach's challenge. But
yeah,
you get to this point of the game, and
I think
the
just
chances
trust.
get smaller and smaller, right?
And
so,
I think you trust the official review that if there's a close play, they do take it to the box automatically.
Right, but if you're a coach and you have your timeout, you can force it.
Right.
Which is my point. But as the time dwindles, the chances of that happening are smaller and smaller. I say smart play here.
And again, RPI also, they do benefit from this timeout. They do get the chance to talk things over and talk about, okay, what do we do when they get that extra skater out there? Because it's coming soon. What do we do? What's our strategy? And such. I'm sure they've all talked about it in practice, but just the little reminders, the little tidbits that you have to be reminded of in-game action.
As Linden gets tossed from the dot here, Morello will take the faceoff for the Engineers. One back to Johnson. Spinning puck, just works it up the wall. Petrillo. Behind for Thomas. Up the boards. Poked at by Hallbauer. Misley ahead. Trying to glove it down was Thomas, but it's moved in towards the line by Linden. Couldn't corral it cleanly. Misley's cross ice pass is broken up. And now moved out and chipped in by Hallbauer. RPI wants to change. 2.5 to go in the third. Engineers by a goal, 1-0. Lucas, stick handling, chips it in and chases on his own. Engineers have caught the Catamounts with a defenseman up ice before, as they won't this time. They get back. Gornell, handoff Lepinen, trying to feed it back to Gornell. Steers it wide of the goal, goes to pick it up on the other side. Gornell, down low, Lepinen. Latches onto this in the corner. Shielding, gives it back to Gornell. It's the Lepinen and Gornell show. Gornell gets someone else involved. Ferner, tight angle shot pad save. Looking for that rebound. It's chopped to the corner. Good idea there from Ferner. He wasn't trying to score with that shot. He was just trying to put it into the mixer. Carried in by Gornell, trying to cut back against the grain there. Too many Catamounts. Back out to center it goes. Now with speed into the zone, LeMay, and he put it off a leg and it goes wide. Off goes the netminder Harmon with 1:28 to go. Behind the net, trying to center, broken up by Ferner. Chips it towards the corner, or the point rather, kept in by Long. Or Petrillo rather. 6-on-5 hockey. 1:10 to go. Chance for the empty net. Ashbrook had eyes for it, but he couldn't get there. Boyko back into the zone. He'll get it deep for LeMay. Wrap it around, Lodermeyer. 1 minute left. O'Donnell a shot, looking for the redirection, doesn't get it. Picked up by Boyko. 50 to go. Shot comes in, glove save, Savory. And a slash to the glove from Alvaro. The Engineers don't like it, but Savory keeps it out with the mitt.
And Savory gloves it aside, then immediately steps out the net, skates over to the corner. And if you have to think about all 46.9 seconds left, RPI has not won a freakout in five games, and the seniors have never won a freakout game. So you know they're going to finish out this period strong. They're not going to let this go to overtime.
Face-off win for the Engineers. Shot around. Morello trying to clear the center. Bouncing puck. Burgess trying to get there. Beaten to it just barely by Lucas. And now Gioshvili across. Here's Lucas again. Drop pass for Vlad Gioshvili. Into the zone. Broken up at the half boards. Riley steps in, trying to clear it out through a mess of humanity along the far side was Linden. Finally dug out by Burgess, but he can't clear it out of the zone. Some room for Evers, looking for a shooting lane. Still Evers, he'll fire. Loose in front, trying to jam it in. And a diving play to the blue line and out of the zone. 6 seconds to go. Evers being checked and harassed by Morello. Lucas off a skate. One, and that will do it.
And Burgess makes the play there for RPI to clear the zone. Owen Savory giving the Hulk smash to RPI, gets the historic 1-0 victory over in the Big Red Freakout.
Just the third shutout ever in Big Red Freakout history. The other two, both against last night's opponent, Dartmouth. They were by scores of 3-0 and 2-0. And tonight it is Vermont who gets stymied here by Owen Savory, who stops all 38 shots he faces in this game. He picks up his third shutout of the year, Joe.
And you mentioned earlier that there's never been a 1-0 freakout, and you saw Todd Burgess may have had a slim chance there to sneak it in at the end.
He wasn't thinking about that.
He pulled it up. You don't think he was thinking about the history?
No, he definitely wasn't. He would have scored that empty netter if he had the time. Anyway, the third shutout of the year for Savory, and his the fourth of his career. And 3 of them have come. Now it's February. I can't say they've come 3 have come in January anymore, but that's, you know,
pretty close.
1 day short of all 3 in a month. Anyway, great way for the weekend to finish up. They win both games on the weekend. They get their 2 points against Dartmouth in a 7-1 win last night.
Sure,
and
huge.
Here tonight, in front of a huge crowd here, almost 4,000. And you had everyone watching all over the country. They had their red on yesterday for the RPI Spirit Day. They probably just kept wearing the same stuff today. Why not?
Why not?
It's the Big Red Freakout. RPI gets the big win. We'll have Dave Smith coming up here to talk to Joe in just a few minutes. But finally, Joe, RPI doesn't tie Vermont 2-2.
Yeah, oh man, wow, more history being
right, the Engineers and
tonight.
Catamounts, if you didn't hear earlier, had played in 3 previous Big Red Freakouts. They all ended in 2-2 ties. Tonight, the Engineers get just the 1 goal. It was Chase Zeke, his 7th of the year. Owen Savory was the in-house player of the game by Gatherers Granola, the sponsor of that award, and certainly deserve it. Savory, the sophomore out of Cambridge, Ontario, former St. Catharines Falcon, with a big night once again for RPI. And if you don't give up any goals, it's impossible for you to lose. We found that out last year's Mayor's Cup when he stopped 43 and RPI tied. RPI doing 1 better tonight here at the Freakout, a 1-0 victory.
And again, I think when you have a netminder that's as hot as Owen Savory is right now, it gives your skaters confidence because they know if we pop 1 in, if we pop 2 in, there's a very high chance that we win. It was last year we saw with the women's team with Lavisa Solander. She was phenomenal, and the skaters knew, okay, if Blake can pop 1 in or 2 in, then we have a very good chance of winning these games here. And I think it's a similar mentality. And obviously they can score a ton. As we mentioned before, there's 10 skaters on the roster that have scored, that all have over 10 points on the season, and several that have 8 or 9, very close to getting into those double figures. But so they are a team that can score, but it's also a team that can depend on their netminder, like they leaned on Owen Savory here tonight. They leaned on him, especially on a lot of those late penalties. I think they took 3 straight penalties without any power plays of their own. I think they took 3 straight penalties, and Owen Savory up to the task on all of them. You could tell that some of this, Ashbrook was kind of gassed. He was really tired on some of those penalty kills. He's been phenomenal for the Engineers all season on the penalty kill. So has Tor Linden, as we saw here tonight. But I think they had a lean on Savory later on in that period.
Absolutely, and they did when they needed him. They had all those penalties they had to kill off. But credit Harmon on the other end. This is just his 2nd game of the year
He played phenomenal.
I mean, yeah, you can't ask for much more from him either.
And the only goal that he gave up was the Zeke one, where Zeke no chance. He'd already saved 3 other shots. How was he supposed to come over on that last one?
So we do have Dave Smith coming up here, but he has to get through all the bodies trying to exit the Houston Fieldhouse right now. So we'll wait for Dave up here. Talk about what's going on here. RPI TV. This is your first RPI TV game.
Yeah.
They stream every home game. Men's and women's hockey. You can watch them all right here for free on YouTube. And they does through the RPI TV site. Yeah.
They even did a couple soccer games this year too.
Oh, they'll do some playoff. Yep. Other sports too. The Division IIIs. They get their time in the sun. Men's lacrosse, when they have a big year, we get some of those games on the air, as well as women's lacrosse. Even when softball's hosted tournaments, they've gotten up there and gotten the gear all dusty at the softball field. No, but RPI TV does its best to cover just about any event going on here at RPI, big or small, and they do a great job with it. Obviously, all volunteers.
I know they're very appreciated because after the games, I've talked to some of the fans, and they've requested for RPI TV to go down and do baseball games over spring break and whatnot. I mean, it's a lot, but it's clearly appreciated. It's a very well done production, a professional production here from the Houston Fieldhouse with RPI TV.
So we had our RPI Freakout scoregami 1-0. It's never happened before, Joe. Another shutout for these Engineers. They're doing a great job defensively. That team goals against average will continue to drop as Savory and company continue to play well. And you can credit Calvin Russo and credit Linden for how hard they work. They're obviously, you don't see them on the ice during games, but they're right along with Savory competing to play every night. And he
talks about them. He credits them a ton. He says they'll come and talk to me when I go over to the bench. Yep. They're telling me things that I may not be seeing from the ice, and I think that's what it's about as a team at the collegiate level. It's about working with each other, and I think that's been the biggest difference between RPI's team this year is they get to 500 on the year. They get to 12-12, and I think that they've been playing as a team this year. It's not there aren't 2 groups there. It's been everybody working in the same unit. The goaltenders, the defensemen, the forwards, all on the same pass. And I think next weekend's going to be a huge test for them against Western Michigan, who is one of the teams in the most historic the NCAC, one of the most historic conferences in college hockey.
All right, well, we have Dave Smith here, so Joe's going to speak with Coach Smith here after the big Freakout win. I'll step aside for the remainder of this one, and we'll see what Coach Smith has to say.
Coach Smith, one of my favorite people here at RPI is Coach Dave Smith. Got to talk to him before the game, and we talked about the atmosphere that we had last weekend at the Mayor's Cup. And we got to talk about how a lot of the students have started to feel like it's a Duke basketball game or an Alabama football game sort of atmosphere in the students section. And now we're really starting to see it with the Big Red Freakout. They come away with a sweep on the weekend. And just talk about what you saw from the ice. How exciting was it to be in the bench and hear those guys slamming on the boards?
RPI basketball the same way in the same sentence as Duke basketball, or RPI hockey, Duke basketball, Alabama, Ohio State football. It was electric in here tonight, and it was there was a lot of different ways to win, but if you don't battle, you don't give yourself a chance. And I thought Vermont came out real strong, and we had to battle real hard. And great goal by Chase Zeke. I thought the second period really showed what our guys were all about. And I thought the third period we played very strong as well.
I think you guys played strong the entire game. I mean, Owen Savory, you definitely had to lean on him a bit at the end when they were taking all those penalties. But just talk about sort of how last night there were very few penalties. There were no penalties in the first period. And then tonight we had a lot of penalties. Just kind of talk about how the game is the ebbs and flows were a little more choppy as opposed to last night where it was just kind of straight through.
Well, I know the referees, what they do is they say that every game takes on a different personality. And first period, there was a lot of crap after the whistle. Then they call that. And then they end up calling, penalties. And you could call 15 tripping penalties, but they call 8 of them. and they don't want to call 15. So you've got to find a way, and sometimes you lean on your goalie only. Sometimes your power play can pull you through, and that's what good teams are able to find different ways to win a game. Tonight, Savory was the first star, penalty kill was the second star, and one single goal by Zeke, which is great timing, was the third star.
And one of the things that Perry was harping on during the broadcast was that you guys were top in the country in penalties, fewest penalties taken per game, about 7.5 per game. Obviously that number is going to go up tonight, but your penalty kill, I think, is going to move into the top 10 in the country after tonight because you killed off every single penalty. And just talk about what that is. What are the things that you guys maybe are doing different this year than you've done in the past? I have a couple things that I've maybe seen, but just talk about what you see.
Well, what do you see, Joe?
Well, what I noticed was I feel like you guys are a lot more aggressive on the penalty kill, further up in the ice, in the neutral zone, on the forecheck. Tor Linden, just first guy that comes to mind. He just seems to have a relentless motor. Jake Morello, another one. That's just my opinion, but what do you say?
Well, for one, you've got to play connected, right? You've got to have 4 guys that think as one, and if you include the goalie, it's 5 guys that think as one. So there's really 3 parts to the penalty kill. One is the up ice stuff, which we practice a lot, which we want to be good at, which you notice. The other is the loose pucks, so a rebound and it goes in the corners, and I think we're really good at attacking those, and we get a first touch clear. So a rebound corner, first touch clear, and we have to think as one there. And the other is just when the other team has possession, are you willing to block a shot? Are you willing to be in the lane? Are you willing to have a great stick? And Scott Mosier's done a wonderful job teaching that and practicing it with our guys. And again, there's ebbs and flows to that. We were rock solid in the D zone, and then that got away from us. We've had to work hard to get it back, and tonight it gave us a victory.
Yeah, and you mentioned taking a shot and getting right back up. Ferner is a great name that comes to mind when I think about that. He took a puck right to the shin pad, went down, immediately was right back up, and I think he cleared it or pushed it to the corner, made a great play. So great example. And another thing, I mentioned this in the pregame with you, having the Freakout having the Freakout closer to the middle of the year as opposed to the end of the year, because you said I felt like it takes away from a senior night, but this has to be huge for your seniors, getting their first Freakout win.
Everything right now is huge for the seniors, and I'm so proud of them. I'm so happy for them because it was...
it's another check mark.
It's another check mark, but the credit goes to them. They created a culture that is allowing this, right? They bought in. They are all in the leadership group, and they split and divvy up the duties of leadership and accountability, and these are the little rewards for the price they paid starting last spring, starting the spring before that. We took some lumps, and right now it feels good to be at 500 on February 1st as a team, and over 500 in ECAC play, and every weekend I know is a grind.
First time in a while.
Every weekend is a grind, and this was a special night for our seniors, but also for the alums that are here. We had 50-some alums.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit. We talked about the history of this program here, but what was it like meeting some of those guys that you may have even gotten to play against back in the 90s?
Just the old guys, Joe, just the old guys. You know what? I was recruited to RPI, and just I couldn't get into school. And my mom tells me when I got this job, she said, "Hey, congratulations, Dave, you got into RPI finally." So those guys, some of them play pro against, but they're just so passionate about RPI. And they're so passionate about the friendships that they made here, and our guys get to see them and interact with them, and the guys it's a special weekend. You just think about the thousands and thousands of dollars that group spent to just come back 25 years, 35 years ago. The oldest guy played in the alumni game.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that a little. We sat at an alumni game earlier. Did you get to watch it all? Did you think about jumping on the ice as the Ohio State guy?
Yeah, that's dangerous, right? Our scarlet and gray isn't the same as cherry and white. That's their game. I talk to them, and it's fun for me, and you get to know some of them, develop relationships. A lot of them, they just want to know what's going on with the program. They want to express their love for it, but also what can they do to help. I met with all of them as a group, and it's a resounding, "Coach, what can we do to help? What can we do to build this thing up into the special program that we believe it is?" And I said, "Hey, we're on the right track. Just keep supporting us." This positive, team first and competitive.
And that's what we see before every game. 10% positive, 90%.
Something like that, Joe.
90%. If you say positive 90%, and then the 10% will come, something like that. But now, just talking a little bit. Enjoy the victory here tonight. Huge. Your first Freakout win. My first Freakout win since I've been a student here. But again, it's hard not to look ahead to Western Michigan University next weekend. One of the most historic programs in college hockey. One of the they're starting to really start to roll. What do you see? It's your big road trip. Last year, Notre Dame was the big road trip. Western Michigan's the big road trip this year. Talk about what it means to kind of play an out-of-conference opponent, and how do you kind of prepare for that as opposed to a league team that you see every year?
Well, we'll scout them. We'll have 4 or 6 games scouted by them, of them. It's going to be the same recipe. We are who we are. We can make little tweaks and little adjustments, but we just got to go in and have a high compete. That gives us a chance. You get timely scoring and good goaltending, and the guys need to have fun tonight. The guys need to take care of their bodies. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we'll be ready to go.
And just one last thing. How does it feel to come away with a victory in the Freakout after coming so close last year?
Yeah, it feels great. It feels great. I mean, like I said, it's such a different feeling as a coach, right? Victories are a relief. Losing is painful. So I really am just happy for the seniors. I'm happy for the guys, and it's a lot of hard work goes into that. Not only in the game, but leading up to the game.
All right, well, thank you very much. Again, this is Coach Smith. RPI coming away with a 1-0 victory as the band out there on the ice celebrating their first Freakout victory among the seniors. And just want to thank you for your time. And here we are, Joseph Pisacano.
Well, thanks to the RPI TV crew. They do a great job. This is such a first-class broadcast. Thanks to the band. It's nice to just hope that those guys don't go sliding and breaking legs and stuff, but appreciate it, Joe. You do a great job. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, I'm out.
Okay, so here we are again, live from the Houston Fieldhouse on the campus of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in Troy, New York. Chase Zeke gets the lone tally here. RPI comes away with a historic 1-0 victory at the Freakout, and it's the first 1-0 Freakout victory in RPI history, and the first non-2-2 victory game between RPI and Vermont at the Freakout. As we close it out here from this evening. Once again, you're watching live coverage of Engineer Hockey on RPI TV.